This podcast is brought to you by JList.com. Guys, anime addicts, JList and JBox.com have an unbelievable selection of Nendoroids, both existing Nendoroids and also a huge variety on pre-order. Some of their most enticing pre-orders are the Harry Potter Quidditch version, the Shizue Nendoroid from Animal Crossing, the Luminary from Dragon Quest XI, Inuyasha, Bloodborne Hunter Nendoroid, Hibiki from How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift, Kaguya from Kaguya-sama Love is War, Ryder from Fate Grand Order, Senku from Dr. Stone, and probably about 10 billion more, because JList and JBox.com are one of the best sources online to find Nendoroids of all types. So head over there, you'll find something that you love for your home or office, and you'll be supporting the podcast. And now, let's start the show.
You're listening to the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. Take your anime addiction to the next level at aaapodcast.com/join. And now, here are your anime addicts.
Hello, welcome verily to the 517th episode of the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. For this bodacious of episodes, I am Mason, your banana-clad host, and with me are some friends who will join me in making your anime addiction worse. First with me, my bespectacled brethren, Mitsugi. How's it going?
Mitsugi here, struggling with the Twitch stream already, but I'm doing... I got it, we're good now, okay?
Excellent.
I am doing fine out here in Colorado. It's hot, it's cold, it's hot, it's cold. But I'm indoors anyway, so it doesn't matter. I'm drinking a pink Monster. It's pretty good. Got some Sour Patch Kids, some day-old pizza. Ready to fucking do it. Let's just do this shit.
Heck yeah, my man.
Damn.
Second with the benevolent Mandi. How goes it with you?
I'm doing all right. How are you guys doing?
Oh, excellent.
Good.
And third with us is nobody. That's it. We got 2 weeks out of Enzo. Third time was not the charm. C'est la vie. Anyway, thank you all for coming to join us in this excellent episode today. You can find us at aaapodcast.com/join, where you can get all this bonus content, such as hentai episodes with over 150 of those, Hobby Addicts, which we just recorded. We talked about the new Tiger King documentary on Netflix.
Rawr.
Did a little Animal Crossing, some Dungeons and Dragons, all sorts of good activities. You can find us on Twitch, where we record live every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and join your fellow listeners to see us in all our splendor and glory. Facebook.com/groups. You know how that stuff works. We have Fan Art Fridays, so make sure you send your stuff to Carolyn or us, either through any means you can. If you have sketches, paintings, cosplays, tattoos, whatever. You got cosplays, there's no conventions to show them at? Show them over there. We'll feature them. Most importantly, come hang out with us on Discord. It's the best place to hang out with us and everyone else who listens, and we have all sorts of chat rooms and all sorts of activities and clubs going on. We've been watching stuff, especially with the new season about to start. We have seasonal watch parties. Everyone's indoors. Everyone's socially distancing. Come on Discord. It's a good place to hang out. First, we have our anime clubs, which goes on every other Wednesday. The next meeting is April 8th. And we're going to be watching the full series of Sora no Oto, or Sound of the Sky. This is found on Crunchyroll, Funimation. You can even see it on YouTube. So I don't know if it's going to be good. I don't know if it's going to be bad, but we're going to have a lot of fun discussing it at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Mitz, do you have a comment on that?
Yeah, it's basically K-On! With rifles. So
sign me up.
I mean, okay. Yeah, sure.
I have not watched this yet. I've not watched a single episode, but I'm excited. Listen, it's either going to be good, and we're going to have conversation, or it's going to be bad, and we're going to have meme conversation.
It's pretty good.
I'm excited nonetheless.
It's a throwback, for sure. So definitely.
Hey, it's what the people voted on.
Hey.
And if you want to do something else, come join the voting.
You got to give the people what they want.
Yeah, we also have my manga club, which will be this Wednesday coming up, April 1st. We will be going over Berserk's Golden Age arc. So, if you would like to join us, go to Discord, go down to Manga Club, check the pin notes, and that has the information for which chapters and volumes we are reading, because we're not starting at the very beginning. We're starting at the Golden Age arc, because that is like the actual beginning of Berserk. So please join us. It'll be crazy. It's not a joke, even though it's April 1st. But that will be at 10 p.m. EST. All you got to do is hop into the voice chat at that time after having read it, and then we'll discuss it very laid back. You're not required to talk. And also, Mason and I have a new project that we put up. You may have already seen it pop up on your RSS feed, your exclusive RSS feed, and that is called The Shape, Truth, and Reasoning. It's a little mini podcast that we are doing where we are going over Mononoke, one of my favorite anime, and we are going to be diving deep into each arc. It'll be 5 parts. Part 1 is currently up, and we're going to be diving deep into all of the show's symbolisms and artistic choices, the history of Mononoke, and yokai lore, and, just giving it some love. Because I absolutely love the series, and I'm just so happy to finally have the chance to dive deep into it.
Absolutely. It's one of my favorite series as well, and we would really appreciate, because we've never done a standalone, analysis like this before, if you could give us any feedback, because ideally we get better at it and do more of these with other shows in the future. So please check that out if you want. But go ahead.
Currently is only on the RSS feed, but I will be making a YouTube video of it. So if you don't have access to that, just hang on for a little while, and I'll eventually have that up.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. But yeah, it was a good time. It was fun. But this episode today, our topic is going to be a massive what have we been watching, because I know for me, I've had a lot more time to watch things as of late, and I've got the list to prove it.
Oh boy.
We're also doing a review of Fate Grand Order, Absolute Demonic Front, Babylonia. So all you Fate fans, stay tuned to what we think. But without further ado, there's a ferret on screen. But without further ado, again, let's get to the big news of the week.
It's time for big news of the week.
I gotta say, I was kind of excited because I was like, oh man, I actually have things to talk about today on what did I watch. And then I look at Mandi and Mason's list further down the document, and I realize that I am just a slacker. I mean, that's all there is to it, for real.
I'm just a poor boy. I need no sympathy.
Mason especially is just making me look like, I'm just standing still. Everyone else is moving. All right. Sad news sort of for this week. Some sad economic news. I think, I think some of us have seen this coming for a while already. The Nikkei editorial predicts gloomy times ahead for Japanese anime industry as China puts focus on domestic animation. You could probably also call this article something like along the lines of China's animation industry sucks the brains out of Japan's animation industries. We'll get to that. Of course, if you want to read more about this, you can find it on the Japanese financial newspaper Nikkei. I have no idea if you can find it translated or not, but you might be able to find it. So there's a summary on Anime News Network, but they pretty much just paraphrased, which is also what I'm doing with this. So China-Japan labor outsourcing dynamic. So China's definitely been changing how it approaches its domestic animation industry. So I think some people listening might think about it, when they think of anime, they just think of Japan, and that's pretty much all there is. But lately, China's been surging, for sure, in their own sort of anime industry, I guess. And back in 2016, as the article describes, China was contracting a lot with Japanese animation studios. Japanese companies would subcontract their work to animators in China. And we already know that they do that with the Philippines and with Korea, etc. But now, it's been 4 years from that point, and now the tables have sort of turned here, and Chinese companies are working more with in-house intellectual properties and are hiring Japanese companies to do work for them on things like King's Avatar and other really popular things. There are some pretty prolific CEOs in the anime industry who Bunjiro Eguchi is the cited source who says China has used its abundant capital to procure the resources for digital animation, and the quality of their animation is improving noticeably. Japan previously outsourced to China, but now the situation has reversed. So China's actually like ahead of Japan now, and Japan's kind of like the subcontractor for China, I guess, in a way, and it didn't used to be that way. And I'm personally not all that up on this situation, so this is kind of a learning thing for me as well. Of course, this impacts the Japanese industry as China pays way better money for their animators, their employees, and their employees are not just freelancers, as they are in Japan, where only about 14% of Japanese animators are permanent employees. So what do you guys think about this at this point? There's a hell of a lot more here to go through, but...
I mean, just from the artistic standpoint, when I've seen a lot of the Chinese productions, King's Avatar, I mean... what was the other one that we really liked from that city? Yeah, there was another one as well.
Oh.
But I'm trying to remember. Essentially, all the ones I've seen have looked really solid and have been really pleasant, both visually, musically. Like, I've really been enjoying their productions. And as a fan of the industry, I would like to see more of their works come out. So I'm excited for this, but it is disappointing that it is a situation that occurs. That
Mandi, anything?
There's just not enough good talent to go around.
I mean, I don't know. I like Mason said, a lot of the stuff that is coming out of China, I've been a really big fan of. King's Avatar, Modao Zushi, both of those are really good, solid shows. And I don't know if they're paying more, and some Japanese workers want to go work overseas. I don't see why not if they're going to pay more. I don't know. It's a weird situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like at some point, would we even notice if there was really a shift between one and the other? It's like we watch anime, it's from Japan, but if it starts to be the case that every fourth anime or every other anime is Chinese, will you even really notice? You know, I mean, because to some extent, all the anime you're watching now anyways, half of it's done by like Korean people and Filipino people and Vietnamese people and Chinese people anyway, so it's not like, you know, it's almost like a melting pot of Asia to some extent, depending on the studio. My only thought there is that, like, I personally haven't really gravitated towards I mean, the sample size is minute at this point, but like, the stuff I've seen that's come out of China up until this point, I haven't really gravitated much towards it, but I think once the sample size increases, that'll probably change. It doesn't help very much that the Japanese outlook for anime is pretty bad. So, like economically, China's pivot to domestic animation is occurring at the same time that Japan's anime industry is continuing to struggle. They're basically, as the article describes, seeing little to no growth whatsoever domestically. The anime industry was worth $20 billion US in 2018, a lot of that being overseas, but only 12% of that, as we know, actually makes it to animation studios, with the production committees soaking up a hell of a lot more of the money than the actual animation studios get, which is really a big problem because, like, you know, I mean, then they can't pay their employees because they're not making any money. And 30% of animation production studios in Japan were actually losing money in 2018, which I don't know if people knew about. I didn't. And bankruptcy and dissolving companies were at a 10-year high in 2018. So I don't know how that's changed between then and now, but I can't imagine it's improved a whole lot. And one of the biggest problems still is training young animators. It's critical to continue to train animators in Japan, considering especially how people keep coming and going out of the industry, and then when someone leaves, you have to bring somebody else in, and you have to train them. And we see this every day in our daily lives and all the companies that we work for. I see it all the time. There's always some new person popping up, and there's always someone around to help bring that person up to speed and help train them. But these animation studios don't have that luxury. They are already stretched to the breaking point, and so when someone new comes in, there's really no one there to like help them learn the ropes of how to be like a proper animator. So studio resources are low, and because of that, there's a lot of outsourcing happening to Japanese contractors. But because of this, the training quality is really bad, and so you're actually getting to the point where Chinese studios have rejected some of the work done by Japanese studios because the quality is so bad. At times by like, you know, especially from studios that are having a lot of turnover and have a lot of like newbies working for them, and which is further impacting Japan's industry because a lot of these studios are making a lot of money from their contract work. So it's, I don't know, like this, I think we've known for a while that these studios weren't really making a whole lot of money and that training was an issue. You guys have anything you want to add after that segment?
Not particularly. You pretty much covered it well. It's just a shame that I think it said at one point that like usually the number of animators a studio has, 1 or 2 plus or minus makes all the difference on if they have enough capacity to have a show or not. Like every one person matters, and that's why when you get new animators, you really don't even have time to train them because you have to use them right away.
Yeah, the article actually says, like, you know, a lot of times when a studio misses deadlines or when a show is late, it's because someone left and they just don't have that person anymore. Yeah. And it's really like scary that these studios are at the point where one single person can cause a grinding halt. Like at my company, if like 4 or 5 people leave, nothing changes. It just keeps going. But at these animation studios, where like they're in this tiny building with like 10 people, I guess when one person leaves, it just causes a crisis. So
yeah, most of the time production is so far behind where they're making anime like the week it's supposed to come out, like finishing it like the day before. It's crazy. Like the crunch time on it is insane. Like I'm not surprised there's so few animators in there because God, the amount of stress it must be to be able to get that out and for how little they get paid. It's crazy.
If there's one thing we've learned, I think, in the last couple of weeks is how fragile everything in this world is. And like as much as an industry can be like established or anything, like any event, any change in personnel can make a huge difference. So don't take our shows for granted.
Mason adding the poetic twist. Yeah, it's just like
always.
It's very unfortunate because if these production, I don't know what the roles, what the operational roles of a production committee entail, but if they were willing to give more money to the studio could, one, pay their people a little better, and then probably hire a couple more people as well, which would resolve some of that stress, which would lower the turnover, which would solve the training problem. So in the end, it really is all money, you know, and the studios just don't have enough of it. The biggest concern here, I think, for me personally, is this thing called brain drain, and it happens a lot, where a company will basically pay very poorly, or they'll treat their employees very badly, and then like those employees will basically just like take off and go down the street and work for a competitor. They can get paid more, get treated better. I've seen it happen a lot at places that I've worked. There's a competitor down in St. Petersburg, Florida, where my old employer would lose like good employees all the time to like this other person, and they wouldn't even try to like match the salaries. And this is happening as well. Chinese companies are now trying to entice Japanese animators to work in China. From the article, quote, they can easily offer 3 times the annual salary an animator would get in Japan. So there will be more cases of Japanese talent going overseas. According to a recruitment website, the monthly average salary is almost $5,000 US. So you're talking about like, we always hear like, oh, animators in Japan, they're making like $800 a month. They're working over like 200 hours of overtime. They don't get paid for it. They're living in the studio eating ramen. And here are these animators in China making almost $50,000 a year US. And living in China where the cost of living is far lower, which to me is actually going to give them a pretty good quality of life. Who the hell wouldn't just like fly overseas and work for a different studio someplace else, you know? Mm-hmm. So you're talking about like, this kind of worries me because you're talking about like, this is like, you know, not to be super doom and gloom, but like if every animator in Japan decides to just pack up and go, like, you have no more animation industry in Japan. Like, I mean, I guess it would just shift to China, but I don't know how that would change things. So the article concluded by saying that the production committee system is, quote, effective in mitigating risks, but for the Japanese industry to be globally competitive, it is indispensable for it to have a system that ensures its profits are distributed effectively. And to my prior point, like, you got to get this money into the studios because they can't pay people, and they can't pay people, they can't hire people, they can't train people, and then the people they do have are just going to leave because, I mean, if I was making like $50K in the US and you were like, oh, here's the same job in England for $400K, yeah, I mean, I'm gone. Like, there's no doubt about it. So this, I mean, it concerns the shit out of me. So, I mean, I think personally,
I think they were also doing a lot of like digital work over there too. So it's not like you would even need to relocate. I think a lot of these animators can just stay in Japan and just it's easier animation work too. Like in terms of easier with quotes around it, just from the technology advancement that they're making with like proprietary software.
Yeah,
there's a lot of Americans here as well who work for Japanese companies. They just do stuff digitally, send it in.
Well, I think US had like the most number of contracts with Japan currently. I think the article said like China used to be the most, and now they're like in 6 as of 2018 or something. So still a major source.
Yeah, I mean,
interesting.
And of course the Chinese animation companies are gonna take the better animation workers from Japan first. You might find like in 10 years where like Chinese anime just looks amazing because their economy's bigger, better, booming. They can pay more, and then you're gonna see like that, like just it's a theory, but like if this type of article is true and if it continues, you might find that like Japanese animation looks like crap in 10 years and the Chinese stuff looks amazing because all the talent's working for the high.
Already getting there.
Yeah, I mean,
hey, listen, if the price we pay is just more Modao Zushi,
yeah,
I'll bite that cost.
So
no, I think some of the companies that are notoriously terrible to their employees will definitely be in trouble. But I mean, places like KyoAni, I don't think they treat their employees so well. I don't think a lot of those people are going to want to leave KyoAni.
I was going to say,
there are some companies that are really good to their employees. I don't know.
There's a comment that like 14% of Japanese animators are permanent employees, and I'm like, I wonder how many.
This is crazy.
Are KyoAni of that?
Yeah, exactly.
KyoAni makes up
your employees.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It's the end of the story.
But wasn't it like Madhouse recently that all of those? And for weeks we were talking about Madhouse and how terrible they are. So
the one guy had like a breakdown, like a mental breakdown, and went to the hospital and then sued them because he had like 4 billion hours of unpaid overtime. Yeah, I think that was Madhouse, and and Madhouse is like one of the better studios, at least in my opinion. So that's scary. So. I don't know. I mean, if you're going to treat people...
Move on to something a little more positive and a little more negative and a little more weird.
Yeah, if you're going to treat people that crazy, I mean, you know, maybe something needs to happen to fix things up. So, but just giving you a little update on the sort of competitive dynamic between animation in different countries. You ready to move on, Mason?
I am.
Howdy, partner. I seen you riding in on that dusty trail. Welcome to the good, the bad, and the moe.
For the good this week, Anime Japan, despite being canceled by the COVID pandemic, managed to still pull about 180,000 manga readers for their 3rd annual poll of what manga do people want to most see as an anime adaptation.
Here you go, Mandi.
And the results, I think a lot of people in our Discord I know would agree with this. Number 10, Chainsaw Man, which, my goodness, I get recommended on the daily. So if people want to see it, it's a trip. Number 9, The Apothecary Diaries. Number 8, everyone put your hands up, The Way of the House Husband.
God, it's so good.
That's the mafia, the Yakuza member who then becomes a house husband and gets to take care of bonsai and making bentos, and it's adorable.
Burying the broken figure in the backyard
The
like it's a
action
body.
figure, yeah.
One of my favorite parts.
Number 7 is Tasuketsu, which I have never even heard of, so maybe worth looking into. Number 6 is Act Age, classic. Number 5 is Spy X Family. Number 4, The Dangers in My Heart, Boku no Kokoro no Yabai Yatsu, which I also have not heard of. Number 3 is Oni-chan wa Oshimai. Number 2 is My New Boss is Goofy. It's a great.
I've never heard of it, but I want to read it so bad.
Oh my goodness! Add that to the manga club maybe. And number 1,
I don't know if it has an English translation yet, but
ooh,
I will when it comes out.
we'll see. Maybe I'll look into it. I'll see if I can find some Ross. But number 1, I think to no one's surprise, is Komi Can't Communicate.
Yeah.
It's pretty adorable. So those are what people want to see animated. For the bad this week, voice actor Hiroshi Masuoka dies at the age of 83.
No!
Sadly, died of cancer. Famous. He was in the industry for like 40 years. He was obviously Master Roshi from Dragon Ball Z, Jamoji-san from Anpanman, which he had for 30 plus years, and Masuo Fuguta from Saizai-san, which is probably also a very long role to have. So.
Can I just say,
Legend.
I just want to say
Go for it.
Hiroshi Masuoka had some fantastic hair. I mean,
Oh yeah.
his hair is fantastic. But Master Roshi, no, my bald brethren.
Very sad. Very sad.
I really should put this next one, like a photo of this, up in the Twitch because
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if
that's intense.
This is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
I thought of you immediately, Mason. And by the way, at the Asian Mart yesterday, I found Vermont apple curry as we
Yes.
previously discussed, and it will be amazing later this week. But go ahead, I'll try to get a photo up.
I made my Vermont curry last night, and it was so exceptional, and remains so. Japanese Twitter user @2torm was haunted by a dream. One that he's seen multiple times, which is a bathtub, a full-size bathtub, filled with Japanese curry and rice. And just recently, he was able to make that dream a reality. So he, let's see if the picture's up yet. He filled literally his bathtub half with rice, half with curry. He had trays set aside for the pickles and like the seasonings.
Oh.
He put aluminum foil around the inside of the bath. You don't want to stain it. You don't have those curry stains. Am I right? He covered the room covered the floor in the shower room with plastic wrap to make it easy to clean up. And he just invited a bunch of people over, and they had a bathtub bounty, as Mitz put it, and it's spectacular. I really want to know how much this would have cost.
Oh my god!
And,
It looks like beef curry.
So this is a bathtub? Because it looks to me like a washing machine.
It's a very upright looking one. It doesn't.
Crazy.
It's not like the full size American style bathtub.
So how is this used? I'm curious.
Mandy's mind is blown.
How do you kneel down in that and not get stuck? Is my question.
You don't go in it. You don't take the bath
You
with
don't?
the curry and rice. No, you
No,
just
I don't mean
ladle
with
it
the
out.
curry and
She's
rice.
just
I
interested
mean
in the
getting a
bathtub.
That's all I care about right now.
Oh, you're about the bath aesthetics.
Yes, how is this used? I want to know.
Just
Can you
splish
show me a
splash and
graph?
Take a bath. Yeah, I'll draw a diagram after this is over.
Thank you, because I want to know how you get down in there and not get stuck.
I assume you just squat. I'm not sure. Listen, Japanese bathrooms are weird. Like, usually they're just one massive wet zone where like you sometimes take a shower in this area, but then you can walk over here and sit down, and I make everything wet.
Slinging water everywhere. Even your toilet slings water at you.
Of course, yeah. It's a non-stop splash zone, and it's a blast. But this I could get behind. So props to my idol @2torm on Twitter for making his dreams a reality. And if he can do this, you can make your dreams a reality too. So thank you very much.
I would say that so he's missing an ingredient that I always like to have on my curry, which is I would have another. So he's got the pickled radishes, and he's got the ginger, I think, there in the containers.
Yep.
But I would have like some shredded cheese there as well, because I love to put some like shredded cheese on top of the curry and get it all melty. Oh, so good.
I've actually never done the cheese and curry.
You should try it next time, dude.
I mean, I believe that it's good. Nothing doesn't need cheese on it.
Yeah, try some cheese and then get a little bit of that gochujang sauce that you like, and maybe some like Kewpie mayo on there.
Oh, I always drop that in my curry.
And you're gonna be all set. Oh my goodness.
My man.
Oh, but yeah, this guy's a legend. He's a legend for all humans. So this is a legendary move. And such
peak culture in 2020.
Yeah, absolutely. In such preparation. So absolutely.
The absolute mad lad. Anyway, what do we have coming up?
So, does Mitsuki's mom know we'll be coming back to the podcast? It really never left, but we were just kind of sort of mulling over how we would logistically handle doing the segment on the Twitch stream with the caller. Mm-hmm. So I think we've decided like a technological compromise on how we can make this work. So it won't be today. We're not going to do it today, but my mom has been studying very hard and she's up to the challenge, and I have over 100 questions prepared for you.
She's studying?
Oh, she studies every day for this.
She's watching more anime than Mason is.
Yeah. Oh, man.
She's probably watching more than I am. So, and I should say that like this process will require you to make it known that you want to play. So if you're interested in playing, we're going to have to get you like hooked up on the Discord. So personally, I don't think it will be a bad idea for you to message one of us, letting us know that you would like to play. Does Mitsuki's mom know? And then when we go to do it, like next week, for example, we can summon you more easily. So
I'll be putting up an announcement. Either react to that with a little emoji on Discord, or just DM me directly, and I'll put you in the catalog. And it's really simple. You just go into the voice chat. We'll drag you in. We'll talk. You'll do your thing, and it'll be a grand old time. And everyone who does it doesn't regret it, even if they can't crack the code, because man, she was a stalwart that went on like a 8-week streak where no one could beat her. So
yeah, we're definitely in a sad state right now. We need a hero to come up and win Mitsuki's mom trivia. Okay, I tried.
There you go. We need a drop for that too, but
until then,
we need a hero. All right, so
until then, we have trivia.
We do.
Alrighty, so we have our website trivia, which if you go to aaapodcast.com, scroll down, there's a picture there. It is related to an anime with a theme. Our theme this week is anime flowers. And if you send in your guess what anime you think that picture is from, then you can win prizes. So the answer for last week was Clannad After Story. The winner is Dick Chocolate. So thank you for making me say that.
Yeah, he hasn't been around for a while. I know Dick Chocolate's been kind of like.
I do remember that name. Yeah,
been kind of dormant there, but we're glad to have you back. These people are pros at this trivia. Like I literally just gave them like a picture of flowers. Like there was no character really, not much to go on, but they literally knew. Not only that it was Clannad, but specifically the second season, based off of like the sunflowers in that field where like the little girl runs around or whatever. And I don't know, you guys are impossible to stump, so it's pretty impressive. So
yeah, so go to the website and check it out. But also, with no effort on your part, we have an in-show weekly trivia question, which we will answer after our news break. And that question is, Babylonia, the civilization which serves as the setting for the Fate Grand Order anime, is from what time period? We'll let you know soon enough.
I'm looking for like the year here, people. You gonna give me 50 push-ups, Mason?
Yeah.
Let's do this.
50 push-ups during break.
Hey Anime Addicts, Mitsuki is here, and I'm bringing you your first anime news break, which is really just an array of anime sequels that are going to be coming out, starting with Yudu Camp, which has revealed new key visuals that you can find online. Going to be having another season in winter of 2021. This announced via the official website of Yudu Camp, or Laid Back Camp, for those of you that prefer the English title. Again, that new season is going to be starting in January 2021. The new year might be right around the corner, and there's big questions on all the girls' minds. Where should each of them go to see the first sunrise of the year? So this is the premise of the new season of Yudu Camp. It's directed by Yoshiaki Kyogoku, who has worked pretty much on the other Yudu Camp stuff, Yudu Camp Delta and Yamano Musume's second season. So if you're a big fan of C Station Studio and their work on Yudu Camp, look out for this coming out in January. And also one of the more popular anime from this current season, Bofuri, otherwise known as Itai no wa Iana no de Bogyodoku ni Kyokufuri shitai to omoimasu, is getting another season, for Bofuri for short. Of course, this was announced towards the end of the very final bit of the season of current Bofuri, which has been airing. And after an enthusiastic invitation from her friend, Kaede Honju reluctantly agrees to try the new World Online MMORPG that is a virtual reality game that is played by thousands of people across Japan. And she puts all of her stats into defense because she doesn't like being hurt and chooses that as her playstyle. Very cute, sort of lighthearted anime if you're a fan of these sort of game world series with a lighthearted feel. Bofuri getting another season coming up. Rolling right along to our next new anime season coming out. New Wick Sauce is coming back. TV anime series has been announced for 2020. This was announced via a live stream event that announced this new season of the television franchise. And it looks like the graphic design company NC Teikoku is going to be credited for the visual concept art behind the work. Of course, based on the Takara Tomi's trading card game Selector Infected Wick Sauce, which had its first anime season back in the spring of 2014. So it has been a while. New Wick Sauce is going to be coming out, and I believe this is perhaps the third season, because there was another season called Lost Storage Incited Wick Sauce, which had an anime project that came out in the fall of 2016. So look out for that if you're a fan of Selector Infected. And next up, and lastly for this news break, at the end of the first season of Magia Record Puella Magi Madoka Magica Side Story, it was announced that they're going to be getting a second season. This original game story, which is a spin-off of Madoka Magica, takes place in this very popular and growing city of Kamihama. Guided by a strange power, magical girls gather in this town and battle a new power drawn from witches. So this anime premiered back on January 4th. And having run most of its course, now we are going to be having another season of this later on, so look forward to that as well. This was me, Tsugi, and this was your anime news break. And as always, as we do, it's time to get back to the podcast. Anime Addicts, JList, and JBox.com is one of the best online sources to get great selections of Nendoroids, including a huge variety of pre-orders so you can be the first amongst your friends to own some of the coolest new Nendoroids, including Harry Potter's Quidditch version, Shizue from Animal Crossing, which is, of course, very timely, the Luminary from Dragon Quest XI, the Hunter from Bloodborne, Inuyasha, Hibiki from How Heavy Are the Dumbbells, Kaguya from Kaguya-sama Love is War, and about hundreds and hundreds more pre-orders and even more Nendoroids that are already out. So head over to JList or JBox.com right now, browse their huge selection, and I promise you'll find something exciting for your home or your office.
Hey, this is Miley Flanagan, the voice of Naruto Uzumaki, and I am an anime addict. Use your Rasengan!
ザ・アニメアディクツアノニマスポッドキャストプレゼンツカズオ vs ザ・キャットバス
Who do you got for number one?
I have the cat bus from My Neighbor Totoro. Shichikokoyama Hospital.
Okay.
That's where the cat bus goes.
Yeah, but like, what are the cat bus's combat abilities?
It has the most powerful headlights in history on its eyeballs. It could blind you drastically with its eyeballs.
That's the worst.
It can run on telephone wires. You know how nimble that is? That agility.
All right,
Such
you know
agility,
what?
such grace. Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Does the cat bus not have about 10 legs?
Does it have 10 legs? Yes, true.
Do cats have claws?
Yeah.
How many claws does a cat have on every paw?
Oh, I don't know, like
It's 5.
5? Okay.
That is 50 razor sharp blades coming
But
at you.
look at it.
It's like a bowling ball covered in butcher knives. It's coming at your
First-
ass. Yeah, that cat bus is terrifying. That son of a bitch is coming at you.
It does look terrifying.
It's literally screaming all the time. It would take you to the Shichi Kokoyama hospital after it beats your ass.
It's
Yeah,
gonna
it
beat your
would.
ass and take you to the hospital.
Yeah.
And now, back to the podcast.
Welcome back to the sweet tones of Chopin's Raindrop Prelude. The only suitable backdrop for such a discussion of such intellectualism, as I wear my girlfriend's, what is this, poon poon?
Poon poon.
Poon poon
Oh,
hat.
yes, me poon poon.
Yes, I
Poon
thought
poon
it,
hat. I freaked out when I saw it. I was like, poon poon hat.
I won't lie. I thought it was a Hiyoko from Cowboy Bebop. Those little chicken treats. Anyway, guys, Babylonia, the civilization which serves as the setting for Fate Grand Order, the anime, is from what time period? Some of you may not know, but Gilgamesh, the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is pretty much the setting for the most part of this anime, is the oldest piece of written literature. So Babylonia is like the beginning of written history in 3100 BC to the fall of Babylon in 539. So very old shit. We're talking some old stuff here. So
Spoilers for the first written work of all time, but you probably should have read it by now. So
yeah, it's really good, by the way. It's not very long. So, and actually is a little relevant to the Fate Grand Order anime. Not required, but might give you a little bit of background to some of the things that happened. But Mandi, it's the moment we've all been waiting for.
I'm ready.
Mandi's clairvoyant manga minute. Here we go.
And now, let's take a minute for the manga minute with Mandi.
This is Mandy's Manga Minute, where I take a minute to give you a manga and help you find something new to read. I just screwed up my own intro. Anyways, this one is called Our Dining Table. Yutaka, who is not good at eating with people, meets a pair of siblings with a large age gap at the park one day. The three of them, Yutaka, Minoru, and Tane, begin to eat together. Our Dining Table is a shonen slice of life written and illustrated by Ori Mita. It is a one-shot, and it's currently available in English both digitally and printed. The manga primarily focuses on the main character, Yutaka, and he's fresh out of college, just found himself a new job, but he doesn't have a great relationship with his family because his siblings resent him for being adopted. And from childhood to adulthood, Yutaka spent most of his meals completely alone until he meets a little boy in the park one day, and who asks him, "Can I try one of your homemade onigiri?" And this event leads to Yutaka meeting the young boy's older brother, Minoru, and after discussing food, he is invited to come cook for them one day. So Yutaka and Minoru grow closer together and learn the joys of eating with other people. And this is a very warm and lighthearted manga, although I wouldn't say it does anything that we haven't already seen in the genre. It doesn't go too deep into the cooking side of things, like What Did You Eat Yesterday did, but it also isn't very heavy on the romance side either. So while it may not be exceptional, like it doesn't do anything different, but it's still a very relaxing and sweet slice of life. So if you're wanting a very short manga that isn't bogged down by any kind of drama, you can check this one out. And it's about how big it is.
Perfect
It's
timing.
It's very short.
The perfect timing with the music that time. Wow.
Oh, yeah?
Japanese onigiri. I love jelly-filled donuts.
Jelly-filled donuts!
My favorite.
My favorite was when they called the takoyaki, they called it like meatballs or something, like special meatballs.
I mean, they're not
What?
wrong.
Except they're not meatballs.
I mean, there's meat in them, and they're ball shaped.
Squid.
It's still meat. What's the difference?
Well, octopus.
You got me.
Also, the whole time I was thinking when you said like Yutaka is not good at eating with people, I'm like, you eat the same way, whether there's people there or not. What? I know what you mean, though.
Mason, I realized something just now.
Yeah.
We have no drop yet.
That's okay.
For your upcoming segment.
We don't know if it's good yet.
Well, I feel like I have failed as a producer somewhat. So
No worries. So as I alluded to last episode, Waifu Wars, we're going to do a little timeout, a little break, a little leave of absence, because I want to try a new segment, which I hope you guys can all participate in, called Anime Arguments, where I have you guys submit through the AAA podcast.com/mailbag link hot takes, unpopular opinions, and things that you want us to debate or clash with you on or agree with, depending on how good your opinion is. So I grabbed the first 3 that were in there, and I figured we could run through and see if we like it or not. And if you want to leave an argument, you know how to do that. The first one comes to us from Moral, who says, the biggest problem with Berserk 2016 wasn't the horrendous CG, it was the pacing. So for those who don't know, Berserk, long acclaimed manga, which we're reading for Manga Club, and pretty good 1998 version. Allegedly, I've been told, comes out with a sequel to 2 seasons by, I think it's like Japanese or Linden Films, or it's like a mashup of a couple studios at these terrible CG animations. And Moral claims that the biggest problem is the pacing more than the CG. And the biggest problem with Berserk 2016 isn't the pacing, it's everything about it. Everything about it is the worst show ever. And you can't put it on one problem. Yes, the CG is the worst thing I've ever seen, but also the sound effects, particularly like the clangs, are the worst things I've ever heard. Like, the Berserk fan base as a whole has long proven over decades that they will wait in order to get better quality. Like, that's always been their MO. Like, they always want more, but they will wait for Miura to get back from watching idol shows all day to make another chapter every 8 months. So for a studio to take it and like rush it, because the pacing is, I will give more or less, abysmal. They cut out like the most essential things and then put in the most boring parts of it. So yes, while the pacing is bad, everything else around it is equally terrible, that I don't know if you can pin it down to one thing. So I don't know if you guys have seen the show, but don't.
Well,
just read the manga.
I don't know if I'd say it's the worst anime ever, although Berserk fans would probably say so, because it might be the most disappointing ever.
Compare it to One Punch Man
Season 2, it's probably on par.
Oh, it's up there, yeah.
I think I gave them both about the same score of abysmal.
I wouldn't be able to even contribute to this personally, because I think I was so distracted by the CG that I don't think I even really paid attention to what the hell was going on in the anime. But then again,
it was literally distractingly bad.
Yeah, it was very, yeah. Not unlike some of the CG in the Fate Grand Order anime that we're going to talk about.
Although it came out with spawned some pretty funny memes. The meme of Guts walking, but like everyone drew like his legs, his little tiny legs. It's the best thing ever.
Great. The next argument comes from Cream Puff, who says, High School DxD Season 1 and Tokyo Ghoul Season 1 are basically the exact same show, with the story beats and plots of the seasons being similar. The only difference is High School DxD did it better. So, I will be honest, I had never seen either of these shows before this argument came flat on my desk, and I'm like, well, now I need to know. I need to do my research. So I watched exactly 1 episode of each of them, and my thoughts are as follows. They're both similar in that they're incredibly edgelord-esque shows that are just going for shock value and like appealing for that like early teen demographic. But I actually agree with the statement. I think High School DxD like as a package presented what its ideas were better than Tokyo Ghoul. Now, of course, its package just meant a better developed, and by that I mean more developed female characters, but not in the good way. But essentially, Tokyo Ghoul had so many moments that were more cringy to look at, with like some weird camera shakings and like over the top voice acting, that it didn't sound like they were having a good time making the show like High School DxD kind of could, because it was kind of comedy focused at the same time. So I would say if I had to watch more, it'd be a close call, but I think High School DxD knew what it was going for and did do it better. So I actually agree with this statement. So
wow,
you point to Cream Puff. And the final one, just because I wanted a third one to eat up a little more time, also from Moral. Why are you doing this to me? Why are we bringing this back? Yang Wenli is by far the best character and best boy from Legend of the Galactic Heroes, and nobody even comes close.
Truth.
No way!
Well, I mean...
It's truth.
You're wrong.
No, it's not wrong.
Great character. Listen,
he fought for your democracy, Mason.
If Yang Wenli was just the main character and won, there'd be no show left. There would be nothing. He would never push the show to new limits. He would just be a static... he would just be so complacent in his way of life. And while that's essential to, opposing the best character from the show, if it was just the Yang Wenli show, the show would be nothing. It'd go nowhere.
Reinhardt it'd be a great slice of life while we watch him drink and play with cats.
He would just sip tea all day, sleep on benches like a hobo, and scare Julian with like his weird stay-at-home dad demeanor.
Are you guys gonna throw down?
No, because we've already done that. Like this.
Mason already knows he's wrong, so we're good.
Reinhardt is the golden lion, which will lead us to victory. He's what makes the show so great. And while Yang Wenli is a nice, opposition, and we need that, without you could remove Yang from the show and still be good. You can't remove Reinhardt, so he's crucial to why
Yang Wenli fought for your freedom.
He did, and I'm grateful, and I do love him, but he's no Reinhardt, and he's not even close.
Down with the golden lion.
So, isn't that a house in Fire Emblem?
Yeah,
okay, well, there you go. Anyway.
Or blue lions. There's golden deer, but...
So, give us your arguments. We will discuss them. Hopefully, they become a fun time, and thank you, Moral and Cream Puff, for submitting your hot takes.
That's not a hot take. That was the truth.
I mean, okay. Kill the music. Do we have RSS feeds to go to, or are we jumping right into it?
Yeah, so on our RSS feed, we now have an exclusive RSS feed for pretty much everybody knows by now, but I'm just going to keep saying it. We now have an exclusive RSS feed for people who help out the podcast, and we are... we want you to get the absolute most bang you can get for your buck here. So not only do you get another, close to 8 hours of extra podcast a month that is just for you, but now we're bringing it to you in the easiest possible way that we can via our exclusive member RSS link. If you go to our website, right along the bar on the top on the left, there's a button for the member RSS. You can literally just copy paste a link from that section of the site into your favorite podcast playing application, which includes Podcast Addict, Pocket Cast, the Apple Podcast app, Overcast FM, Downcast, etc., etc. Whatever you listen to it on, you can use that link and listen to the exclusive content directly on your phone or tablet device now, the way you would listen to every other podcast, rather than having to get it through our website. So I just want to let you know that we are always trying to find ways to give you more for the support, more of a thank you for supporting the podcast, and make sure to check that out. And if you are supporting the podcast and you haven't used that yet, please do, because I think it'll definitely make your life easier. So I want you guys to know that it's there for you to use. So, and that's when you sign up at aapodcast.com/join. So get it. Don't disappoint me.
Mandi?
That's the end of my spiel.
That's the end of the
okay.
spiel.
All right. Well, now we have our main topic, which is what have we been watching? Just going to tell you all the different anime that we have seen since the last time that we've done one of these. So you can take notes on things that you could possibly try out for yourself.
Yeah. Well, man, I really thought I had a good list this time, and then I saw Mason. And
If it
then-
makes you feel any worse, I actually am saving all of our seasonal impressions. I think in like 2 weeks from now, we might do like a seasonal wrap up. So this isn't even everything. This isn't even my final form.
Oh, geez, you're only at 1%.
Exactly.
Well, speaking of battles that always seem to take place in percentages, I actually made it past the Dark Tournament of Yu Yu Hakusho. There is more. It's not like the screen is just black for 35 episodes or yeah,
Literal dark tournament.
yeah. I'm up to episode yeah, literally. I'm up to episode 76 or so, and I'm gonna finish it. And then it's kind of like a dinner. It's like our dinner anime. And then I think after this, I'm gonna start watching Kingdom because I think it's got a good reputation.
Yeah, I've been meaning to watch that too. That's been on my list for a while.
Yeah, it's pretty long, but I think it's supposed to be really good. So, but Yu Yu Hakusho, it's I find that the anime that it does sort of take a dip in quality after the Dark Tournament. There's an arc right after that that's kind of like humdum, like nobody will really care. And then it jumps into a very shonen, more shonen type stuff than it was before, which is basically like the Trigun sort of. How many animes do this? Like Trigun does it, Outlaw Star does it. They all do it. It's just like this, the band of 7 or the band of 10, and they have to like fight these like guys one at a time, and they all have like goofy nicknames. So, still love all the characters in Yu Yu Hakusho. My favorites are, let's just be honest. Genkai is my favorite character in Yu Yu Hakusho. She's just the most badass old lady ever. So, but like Kuwabara is great and Yusuke is great, and I'm really enjoying like following those guys as they continue to just like punch each other and be crazy. So, Yu Yu Hakusho is. I really like it, although I'm being told that like it doesn't have much of an ending, a lot like Hunter x Hunter doesn't. So I'm like, Togashi, why? Like, why do you always do this? So, but we'll see. I mean, I'm not at the ending yet, so I don't really know how accurate that is yet. But it's nice to know that I did get past the Dark Tournament after watching up to the end of it and stopping like 5 times. So I'm not gonna quit this time. And I don't. Go ahead.
I was gonna say this is weird for someone who's a huge Hunter x Hunter fan, where it's like has taken over my life. But I haven't seen Yu Yu Hakusho yet.
None of it.
I need to do that. No, I've never seen it.
Oh, it's quite good. I don't know if it'll live up to.
Is it okay?
I don't know if it'll live up to your Hunter x Hunter standards because.
No.
I mean. Mandy's like
no, flat out no.
No, it won't.
Well, at least watch the opening for Level E as well. That's like the unloved middle child of Togashi's works, which is like a dumb comedy. But the OP is cool.
Yeah, I didn't like Level E quite as much, but.
How many episodes is Yu Yu Hakusho?
Like 50 something.
No, I think it's like 100.
Really? That's it?
No, it's longer than that.
Okay.
112.
112. Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds better.
What was I thinking of?
Almost halfway there.
What's the difference for you?
Yeah, the Dark Tournament ends like around episode 60 or so, and then it's the longest tournament I think ever in anime. I mean, it is long. that fucking thing is like 30 episodes. So, but yeah.
I've gotten to the point where all of the anime on my list now are really long, so I'm trying to decide which one to do. Because I'm like, I don't know which one to watch. I have to finish Gintama. I have to watch Yu Yu Hakusho. I have to watch Kingdom. I still have never seen the anime for Slam Dunk, but I want to watch it. Hajime no Ippo is pretty long too.
Yep.
They're all long.
Yeah, and most of them are shonen.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to shoot all my bullets yet because I only have 4 bullets in the gun. So. Mason has like a machine gun over here, so I'm just gonna let him go for a bit.
Quick. I'll do sets of 2. How about that?
I still think you'll still have more than I will at the end, but
we'll go quick.
Sets of 4.
Start with TV series. I kind of split my list between full TV series and OVA/movies. So first up was a show called Fractal. Essentially what I did is I asked people in Discord, hey, give me a show you think I should watch, or I secretly would friend them on my anime list or AniList. MAKLAX is where you can find me. And I went on their list without their knowledge, and I took the shows that they had rated highly that I had not seen and used that as a jumping off point. So first up was a show called Fractale. which you can find on Funimation. This is an early 2011 series done by A1 Pictures and Orday. It was directed by Yutaka Yamamoto, who did Wake Up Girls, which I really like, and had Marie Okada in it, who I really like. This was a Noitamina show, which aired before Wandering Sun, and I love Noitamina. And I went into the show, and I was really digging it at the beginning. There's a dance, a pancake dance. The characters do a dance to express the flavor of pancakes, and that really hit with me on an emotional level. And the first, 4 episodes, I was really digging. It was super cool, great concept. And then something happened where my interest just dwindled. And around episode 6 or 7, I just realized that it wasn't going to come back up. And ultimately, the show was kind of depressing because it did not fulfill the potential it had. It looked all right most of the time. It's not like the animation or the sound something production wise dropped. It just they ran out of ideas at episode 6 and it just went nowhere. And it was man, these first 3 episodes were solid. So I would recommend checking out the first 3 just for the themes and everything. But it was a rough watch at the end, and I ended up not enjoying it, but I'm so glad I checked it out, but big sad. Next up was Snow White with the red hair, which I got from a user called Eats Sweets, which you can find on Funimation and Hulu, and I've heard about this show for a while. I feel like Mandi has talked about it before. For some reason, so this is a 2015 series. It was way more shoujo than I was expecting. I don't know why I didn't think it was a shoujo, but it was so much of a shoujo. It kind of took me back. I was like, oh, okay. I had to rescope. But honestly, this was this was perfect relationship goals. This was the most honest, forthright, respecting of boundaries, forging of individual interests with the mutual respect that made all the characters in it stronger. It was such a wholesome series that I really enjoyed. There was definitely a clear divide between all the good characters treated Snow White like a person, and all the bad characters just treated her like an object. And it was a little too clear cut in that regard. But at the end of the day, this was a really solid series. We got smooches, we got good bird boys. I felt though I watched and got the message of everything that there was to experience. And I was going to ask Mandi, is it worth watching season 2? Or is it just more of the same kind of stuff?
No, I mean, this is one of my favorite JoJo series. I love this series so much. And I grew so attached to some of the characters. And just watching them develop from learning how to just realize each other's goals and building a relationship based on mutual respect and admiration. It's just, I don't know, I love it. And I love watching just Shirayuki and Zen grow closer together. And also Obi was one of my favorite characters. And he has
that kind of surprise me.
He has kind of a Taichi feel to him where I'm this poor sad boy. Someone love him, please.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there were some really great characters in there that I just absolutely fell in love with. So if you like the characters, I'd say definitely keep watching it.
Okay, I think I'm going to stop there. I think I really like season 1, but I feel like I got enough of it, the concept, that I would just see more of a similar thing in season 2. So for now, I think I'm going to hold off. But definitely one of the better shoujo series I've seen.
Kiki's so wonderful.
Oh my goodness! I already saw the bird, and it is a fake. It is a lie. Birds aren't real. The show is lying to me.
But you're a bird watcher.
Exactly. It was a good time. Mandi, you can go next.
Oh, okay. So I've been on a bit of an RPG kick. So
Ooh.
3 out of the 4, because man, I end up having to binge a lot more things that I couldn't include in here. I watched Anime Club stuff. I binged through Eccentric Family again. So there's really no reason for me to bring that up because we've already talked about it before. I binged through the shows that we were reviewing. And so I don't have as many on my list now that I would usually have. So 3 out of the 4 of mine are all RPG related. And the first one was Magical Circle Giru Giru, and that one is available on Crunchyroll. And the one on Crunchyroll is a 2017 remake of the original. The original came out in 1994. And that original is much longer than the 2017 one. The 2017 one was adapted by Production IG. And it's only 24 episodes. So it's not very long. And this series takes a lot of inspiration from old Japanese RPGs, such as Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest is the most notable one, and it also has references to a bunch of typical RPG tropes that we see come up in games. And yeah, it was really I enjoyed it, but I could definitely see if you don't have a history with Japanese RPGs, don't have like that like if you didn't grow up with them, I could see it being a really hard show to get into. So the story is about this it's a comedy too. There's a lot of goofy comedy in it, and it's about the seal coming off of the Demon King Giri, and a new hero has been chosen named Nikkei, and he is chosen to be the hero who is going to go on this quest to try and reseal the Demon King. And he meets this magical user named Kukuri, and she can summon beings through this kind of magic called Guru Guru with her staff. And she draws symbols, and this summons these creatures, and they go on this quest together. And it has a lot of silly RPG tropes and comedy in it, like they go to a town and all of the characters there can only say one word. They're like, welcome, welcome, and they're like singing it through the streets, welcome. And it's because, you know, when you go to an RPG, when you play an RPG, the NPCs usually only have one scripted word they can say or phrase. And there's a part where they make fun of like just the music. Like they go to a dungeon, and Nikkei finds this little box, this like little music box, and Kokuri is so excited. She's like, oh, I've only heard one song my entire life. Because, you know, in an RPG, towns only have one song they cycle through. So there's a lot of things in there where it looks like the art style kind of reminds me of Dragon Quest. And they have moments where it goes into like that pixel art style of like old RPGs, and they have like text boxes come up sometimes. And one of my favorite jokes was Nikkei going into just a villager's house and just starts stealing shit out of everything. He's going through like cabinets, he's going through like their chests, and Kakuri's like, what are you doing? And all of a sudden he freezes. He's like, oh, I lost myself. And it was really funny. But yeah, it starts off very hyperactive. There's a lot of comedy in it, and very silly comedy too. And then it does progress to a point where it has a really sweet romance going on. It's really cute. But yeah, I really enjoyed that one for someone who has the history of like Dragon Quest, Chrono Trigger, and a bunch of other like old RPGs.
That sounds like something. Yeah, that sounds like something I'd probably like.
Yeah, there was a lot of really funny jokes in there. Another one that I loved was they went through this quest, and they got this like this statue that had been passed down for centuries as like a reward, and Nikkei immediately goes and tries to sell it. Yeah. And the store owner is like, this is a priceless heirloom. He's like, yeah, but how much can I get for it? It was really funny.
Level with me here. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, and they do that a couple times where there is like this very specific object they needed for a certain quest, and then they're like, we sold it. It was like, oh, I've been there. I don't know, it was fun.
Yeah, I bumped into a couple anime where they do this in like spurts. Like there was a Love Hina episode where they go into like a game and they talk to people and they just say the same shit over and over again. And so it's always kind of fun when you relate to the humor. So yeah, as SMO Gizmo's asking what the name of the anime was again.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. It's Magical Circle Guru Guru. Guru is how you spell Guru. But yeah, it's on Crunchyroll.
It means spinning it around in a circle.
Yeah.
You know what it would mean if you listen to our Mononoke podcast.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Ooh. Which is on the RSS feed. You can listen to it.
It is. It's also on like iTunes and YouTube soon to be.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Miss, what's next?
Well, I watched the Pokemon first movie CG remake, I guess it is. So I think it is.
That's a thing?
Well, there's a shitload of Pokemon movies, that's for sure. But on Netflix, I think there's a Pokemon, it's like the first movie where it's like the history of Mewtwo, and he gets pissed, and he's like, "Who am I? Blah blah blah. I'm so emo." And then he invites all the trainers to the island with their Pokemon, and he ends up like trying to steal the Pokemon from all the trainers. And there's like that storm, and then they're like, "You can't go out in the storm. It's too dangerous." And then like the trainer that has the Lapras is like, "The hell I can't," and they just like kind of just go anyway. You guys have seen this movie, right? It came out like 25 years.
Funny though.
Pokemon Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution.
Is that what it's called?
I love it. The hell I can't.
It's a 3D CG remake of the first film.
Yep.
Mewtwo Strikes Back.
Yep. I watched it, and it's definitely the first movie. Over again, it's quite good. Like, it's very enjoyable. Not very long. It looks pretty nice. I mean, I thought it looked pretty good. Mewtwo, it's been a while for me, but Mewtwo is so much angst. I mean, he just hates everything. I mean, it's someone needs to get him like a puppy or like an ice cream cone, maybe. So yeah. But it was really good. Netflix has got a bunch of this sort of interesting stuff on their service right now, and I think every single thing I have left on my list is from Netflix. So if you're a fan of Pokemon, I definitely recommend checking it out. It'll bring you back to that nostalgic place from when you were. I mean, depending on how old you are now. I mean, I guess that I don't know when that movie came out the first time. Probably like in the late '90s, maybe. But
yeah.
So it'll take you back to when you were a kid, perhaps, or maybe you haven't seen it at all at this point. And looks pretty nice, so worth seeing for sure. And I'll just slide right into the next one because it's very similar. The Dragon Quest Your Story. So Manny was just talking about Dragon Quest, and very popular RPG franchise, and there is a movie of it on Netflix, which is also, I guess it's CG. I mean, it looks closer to like, how would I describe it? Like How I Trained Your Dragon or whatever. It doesn't look. It looks really good. Like the animation is like when you say CG, people go, ooh, like ooh, it might not look good. It looks more like a Pixar movie would look, really. And it has a lot of throwback Dragon Quest references in it, and a lot of just like your fun Dragon Quest monsters. There's a wild freaking plot twist at the end, and I definitely recommend people check it out. It's definitely adapting the storyline of like Dragon Quest V, which I haven't played, but I was watching with a friend of mine who is a little bit of a bigger Dragon Quest nerd than I am, and he was like, "Oh, like this is Dragon Quest V," and I was like, "Oh, really?" Like I haven't played that because that game's very old at this point and a little bit before my time on Dragon Quest. But Dragon Quest Your Story is what it's called, and it runs, I'm not sure how long it was, maybe 2 hours or so.
I've heard good things about it from like non-anime people, even non like Dragon Quest people. So anyone could check it out, right?
Yeah, it's on Netflix. The pacing is great. Like there's a lot of fight scenes, a lot of magic. There's some cute girl characters in it. There's some tough guy characters. So there's like a little bit for everybody. It's cool sword fights. All of your favorite Dragon Quest monsters. It's got the slimes, the robots, the just the little rabbit guys with the horns. Like and all the puns you can handle. They don't actually bring the puns into. I think Dragon Quest is the only game franchise I've heard of that can probably compete with Animal Crossing on puns. So, but like it's just wild. But
Animal Crossing's pun game is high up there.
Yeah, my favorite Mandi from the Dragon Quest XI was there's a pig monster that has a magical hat on, and the enemy's called a ham sham witch. It's like a witch's hat with the ham sham witch. It's like ridiculous.
Aww.
It's so bad. But Dragon Quest Your Story was really quite good. And the ending will like blow your face off. It's very action packed, and I was actually sitting there like thinking, what the fuck is going on at the end of this movie? Because it is a wild, completely unexpected twist at the end. At least for me it was. So definitely recommend that. And it's pretty new. It came out like not even a year ago. So check it out on Netflix. Most people a lot of people have Netflix at this point, so it's free to go watch it. Just sitting there waiting for you. And yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say there's a lot of CG anime movies coming out. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that was all CG. Like they have the Lupin one that's coming out, and they also have the Ghost in the Shell.
And the
What was it?
3-part Godzilla ones from like the last 2
Oh.
years, those were LCG, and those looked pretty cool.
Yeah, interesting.
All right, I'll save my last one for round 3. So
Okay, I'll run through these next 3 TV series really quick. Next up, I was recommended to watch Iron-Blooded Orphans, the Mobile Suit Gundam series from 2015. This is on Crunchyroll, Funimation, Hulu, Netflix, Anime Lab, and Amazon. So it is everywhere because it's Gundam and everyone likes Gundam. I do not like Gundam. I am notably not a
Aw.
big Gundam fan. I did really enjoy Thunderbolt. It was like a OVA series a couple years back. It was like really jazzy and cool, and I really enjoyed it. They're like, people were like, hey, check out Iron-Blooded Orphans. It requires no like previous knowledge of the Gundam franchise to get into, and I don't know why, but I said fine, I'll give it a shot. And I started it off, and the soundtrack is spectacular. There's all this like Spanish guitar work going on during the fights, and it's amazing, and easily the best part of the show by a mile. The whole rest of the show, while it did start off strong, like Fractale, immediately quickly fell apart. And even though Marie Okada did it, the way she writes like the relationships that Mandi kind of reminded me of are abysmal. All the dynamics between this ship captain with like multiple wives, with multiple babies with each of them, which he keeps all on the ship, is cringeworthy. And the way that it inspires like the younger kids like that they meet to also like, hey, we should do in this kind of polygamy thing going on. It's very awkward and very creepy. Of course, all the fights that go on are just super. There's such a lack of depth to everything, and it's just ham-fisted, and it's really cringy. And I will admit, I did watch most of this dubbed because I was quarantined and I was like working out while I was watching it. And while the voice actors I think were better than usual, I think dubs inherently are the worst thing that happened to anime. And boy, did I think
That's a very strong hot take.
help. I think it helped me to like the show even less. So I did not enjoy my time with Mobile Suit Gundam.
Damn.
I will not be continuing it, but the soundtrack was great, so check that out.
God,
Next show,
this Gundam though is so recommended. Like I've had many people recommend. I've had several people recommend it even in the last like couple months. So surprised to hear. Surprised to
but
hear
I'm
the
also just
teardown.
not a Gundam boy, so take that what you will. Next show was a show called Kamichu, which essentially translates to like the goddess is a middle school student, and this show just cold opens with 3 characters like lazily in a classroom, and this girl's like, I think I turned into a goddess last night. And that's like the first line of dialogue, and the whole show from there is just like
What?
I'm like, oh, okay, what do we do now? And it started off fantastically realistic, where you're like, we don't believe you. What are your god powers? And she's like, I don't know. So they go around like trying to see what her powers are. They eventually kind of figure it out. And she is a goddess, so they then use that to like sell pictures with her to like get money to like the shrines and like try to earn money and finances. And it's fantastically awesome for the first 3 episodes. But then episode 4 starts, and it's this terrible like alien visitation plot, and the alien is just so dumb that it turned me off the entire show, and I dropped it at episode 4. So,
Oh man.
let me know if it gets better, people. But it had a lot of promise. The last show also was dropped almost before like maybe 10 minutes had passed. But Elfen Lied.
Oh
Someone's
my
like, hey,
God.
you should watch that. And I was like, you know what? I've always heard the show talked about. It's on like Hulu, Crunchyroll, High Dive. Like it's easy to get to. I've always heard it. I was like, you know what? I've been doing this anime thing for too long. I should know what Elfen Lied is about. So I started it up, and soon after, I'm like,
You were like, bye bye, Mason, as he drops off the call. Lucy came in and
That's all I
chopped
have to
him
say
down.
got smattered with it, but it was a nightmare. It was worse than I was expecting, and oh well. So
Did you at least get through the opening scene?
I mean, I watched the entire first episode,
Okay.
and the opening was cool. It was something. It was
Well-
bold. I'll give it that. But it was not a good experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you have to understand about Elfen Lied is that it's mostly a shock value anime, and
It shocked me right out of there.
It is shock. I mean, at least at the time, I think it was pretty shocking for most people to see like a completely naked chick just like slicing people's heads off like it will. But there's not much like there's not much. It's not super deep, but yeah, you're right. You didn't see the worst of it. There's actually worse things in Elfen Lied than in that first scene. But
I believe it.
Okay,
I believe it.
All right. Hey, Mason's just cutting down anime like trees over here.
Left and right.
Is it anything new?
No.
Yeah.
I grouped two of my next one into one because one of them I haven't finished because I've been working through it and I just had to put it on hold because of other things that I needed to watch. So I rewatched the OVA for Lodoss War recently, and I'm watching Slayers, the original, back the 1995 one. And both of them, I've been watching the English dub because English dubs are not inherently bad.
Ooh,
and they do exist for a reason. And
they exist, but they are bad. Don't watch dubs. Maybe one show out of 50 is good with a dub. Other than that, always watch them. Sorry, go on.
Spice, just so much spice. My tongue.
Anyways, yeah. So Lodoss War OVA. It came back out in 1990, and it is available on Funimation, and it is a Madhouse adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
And I've already talked about this for a few weeks now. The original was a set of novels written by Ryo Mizuno, and he wrote those novels based off of his D&D campaign adventures. So, yeah, this series feels so much like a D&D campaign. Like they did a great job of like transforming his D&D campaign into animation, and it's a lot of fun if you are really into D&D. It starts off with the characters already know each other, and they are going into a dragon's den in this fight with this green dragon, and then it goes back into the past to where they first meet each other. And we're introduced to Parn, who is the son of a knight who has like been dishonored, or has like he has like a bad history about him, but for wrong reasons. Like he was wrongly accused. And then we also meet the elf druid named, or I'm going to assume druid. That's like the closest class that she is, but Deedlit.
Oh, Deedlit. Just
your waifu.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. Akinator knew what's up.
Hey, girl, you're looking so fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
And then we're introduced to some of the other characters, like the dwarven warrior Gim, and there's a wizard that we meet, and it's a really fun adventure that just about them going on this adventure to prevent calamities. And it's like rewatching it. I first watched it way back in like high school, I think. It's been a very long time. And I couldn't remember much of it. And it's funny because I've always had it on DVD. I never went back and watched it. So after it came up recently, I decided, I'm just going to go back and rewatch the entire thing. And it was pretty good for what it was. And the animation was far better than I remembered it being, and the dub is actually pretty solid. The narrator is really good. There are a couple voices in there, obviously, that are like, you could tell the voice actor was struggling with yelling, like they were like kind of apprehensive to scream into the mic. There are a couple parts like that, but overall, the dub was fantastic. It was really good, especially slaying the like wizard. It was really good. But yeah, it was pretty good. I recommend it if you like D&D, because it has that like it feels like an adventure, and it kind of makes you want to go out and play again, find some friends, and just go on an adventure together. And go ahead.
And if you ever want to watch the hentai version of Record of Lodoss War, there's always Dragon Pink, which is basically.
Is that real?
Oh yeah, I mean it's not literally Record of Lodoss War, but it's.
Oh okay.
It's like you have the swordsman guy, the barbarian guy, the mage girl, all set in like the exact same sort of setting, but it's a silly. I'm just making it stupid. It's just a stupid hentai. And then of course you have like the cat girl, and that's yeah. It's not literally Lodos War.
So yeah, that one is available on Funimation, and the record of Chronicles of the Heroic Knight is also on Funimation, but I haven't rewatched that one again. That's the like series that's a bit longer. That one was 27 episodes, and the other one was only like 13, I think. The OVA. So I don't know. I haven't watched Record or Chronicles again yet, so I don't know if I'd recommend it. But I also have like the book. I got the Record of Lotus War, the Grey Witch, that came out in English only recently, and I'm gonna start reading through this next week. So I'm excited.
That's a cool cover.
Yeah.
Like the black with like a gold trim all around it.
Mm-hmm.
Very snazzy.
It has some art in there as well as of like the characters. But yeah, it's I'm excited for it. I was trying to see if I could show it up on stream, some of the art in there. Yeah. But yeah, and I've also been watching Slayers, and this is another one that I watched a long time ago, but I don't think I ever finished it. It was one of those that we watched just random episodes with friends, like when we're just hanging out together. And I'm watching this one on Funimation, and it's the 1995 original one by EG Films. And yeah, it's really fun. It's another one that kind of has that D&D feel to it, about this sorceress named Lena Inverse, and she travels around trying to steal shit from bandits, and she's very, very powerful, super OP. And one day she steals something that she probably shouldn't have and gets into wild, crazy adventures. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's really funny. And that one I'm also watching the dub of, and the dub's pretty solid too.
I will say I have watched, because it's on my list, because I saw you watching that, and I hadn't seen any of Slayer. So I watched Slayer's Excellent, which is like the 3-episode OVA.
Oh, I never heard
like
it.
The starting point. It explains how the two characters like met each other. Like it's like the best jumping on point, people said. And I watched the dub, and it was a fun old time. It was very stupid, but enjoyable enough. It's like a perfect Saturday morning like watch. So
yeah, it's very silly, but yes. Yeah, it was fun. I'm having fun with it, and I'm I think 10 episodes into it, and the first season's 26 episodes.
Yeah. Or check out the OVA, which I did, and I was pleased with. So
is it my turn again?
It is your turn. Round 3.
The last thing I have for you is I have watched. I hope I didn't mention this already, and if I have, please stop me. But I have been watching the Castlevania series on Netflix, and find it to be quite good. Better than I thought, for sure. And for those of you that haven't watched any of this, the 4th season was just announced, so there will be a 4th season. They have very weird lengths. Like season 1's like 4 episodes. Season 2 is like 7 episodes. Like they just like whatever. But it's quite good. It looks fantastic. It's basically the initial premise is like Dracula and this girl, I can't remember her name. She comes and goes like the wind, but Dracula and Emily or Lisa Tepps, I guess, is how they refer to her. I've heard that name obviously, but I didn't know that was her name in the show. They right in the beginning, you know, she's like a human who wants to be a healer, and Dracula takes her under his wing, and they fall in love. But then, of course, she's like, you know, she can perform almost like miracles on people because she's such a great healer. And the church is like, oh, well, you're a witch, and they burn her alive. Dracula like loses his shit, and he's just like a very powerful version of Dracula in this. He can literally just like open the gates of hell and just rain hell on the earth. And there's just like demons just ravaging cities and just devouring people. Meanwhile, there's Trevor Belmont, who's like this, how would you even like, almost like a Gene Starwin-esque, just like dude who's just like, I just want to drink my beer, and I guess I'll help you, but I'm so cool in my armor. And he kind of doesn't give a damn about anything initially, but he's from the Belmont family, which are like monster hunters, and he gets wrapped up in all this, and so he's kind of apathetic about it. But he has like a heart of gold, but he so doesn't want to be bothered by all the inconvenience. And there's just like a lot of great action scenes, and I'm about halfway through season 2 of this, and excited that there's more coming out. And it just looks great. Like Netflix is just throwing their weight behind it, I guess, and it just looks fantastic. It's definitely not anime though. Frederator Studios, whom I don't know what the hell that is. They've been around for a while, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not that familiar with them. They've done a lot of like stuff for like Nickelodeon and stuff like that. So I guess it's not really anime, but you'd probably put it in that category just because of the audience. But it's quite good. Like if you were holding off because you're like, oh, Castlevania. Like I have played approximately 0 Castlevania video games, and this anime is really good. So I'm probably end up going back and playing them after this anyway. So yeah. So and the animation is just way better than most things you'll watch. It looks fantastic and super violent. I mean, wow. People getting just like limbs, dismemberments, and beheadings, and just blood spraying, and it's just delightful. So check that out if you like dark sort of period pieces, because of course it's set in like the 1500s or whatever age this is in. So that's it from me. That's all I got. I'm out. Fired my last bullet.
I'll blast through a bunch of OVAs then, and I'll just do a couple of them. First up, I watched Riding Bean from 1989. This is like a 46-minute OVA. This was like the series, the universe that went on to inspire like Gunsmith Cats in the mid-90s. So like Raleigh Vincent from that show, there's like a prototype in this movie, which is kind of cool. If you're like a fan of like Golgo 13, like Lupin or Mad Bull, this is like very similar with like lighthearted violence and like kooky mayhem. And it had like a lot of heart to it, and it was just the classic like 80s charm. It was like a super fun late night watch. It was like, also it had a pretty egregious dub where everything sounded like a discount King of the Hill character, but that kind of just added to the charm of it, and it was a good time. Another OVA I watched was Read or Die. I got this from Zero Roku.
Oh, it's so good.
Which, I mean, we've had the music on before, but like the whole soundtrack, I didn't realize it was done by Taku Iwasaki.
Oh, he's great.
Everything that man touches is just super eclectic and weird and wild. And yes, the OVA was as legendary as I had hoped. So I'm finally glad to get that off my list. It's about these like English detective agency that fights with all sorts of kind of these weird abilities, and it was fine enough. I wouldn't want to watch any more of it, but for 3 episodes, it was a good time.
Oh, it's so good, Mason.
It was fine. I found
good.
myself losing interest as it went on. The first episode was the strongest, though.
I don't know.
I recommend that one.
The fight scene with Son Goku.
Oh my goodness! Fighting is for nerds. A really good OVA that I watched from 1989 was Bao the Visitor. This is an adaptation of Hirohiko Araki, who's the guy who did JoJo.
Oh boy.
Before he did JoJo, he did a series called Bao, which is like a real short series. And this is like a 1989, I think it was like 40 some minutes, maybe an hour. And it was way better than I was expecting. Essentially, if you like watching people's like face melting, if your favorite scene from Indiana Jones is like when like they're grabbing like the Covenant and their faces are just melting, this is that 20 times. They love having people's faces melt in this, and it was super violent, but it was super cool and kooky. And if you like the Pillar Man-esque design from JoJo, with like the super, V taper, tiny waist, huge chest, you get that. So it was just a good one shot, and I'd recommend that if you can find it.
Legendarily violent.
Yes.
Like, wow.
But it was cool. It made sense that it was violent. And
would you call it butthole puckeringly violent? Was it quite that level?
Not quite.
Okay.
Because I don't know. I think I was expecting it, but it was a good time. Not a good time was Noblesse It's like two 30-minute OVAs that you can find on Crunchyroll. I kind of went into this with high hopes, but it wasn't that good. There's actually an actual like seasonal adaptation coming in 2020. So I would say wait for that, because I think that'll be a better adaptation. I think these OVAs and the ONA aren't that good. I watched the Aka 13 OVA, which was just a really another good episode of Aka 13. It wasn't drastically different. It takes place a year after the first season. It was 47 minutes of introspection and relaxation. And even though it's been a while since I saw the original, it was just another episode of a show I really like. So I enjoyed it. I can save everything else for another day, I think. So we can move on to Mandy's last one.
Yeah, my last one was I watched the adaptation of Flowers of Evil, which I've talked about before. I've talked about the manga and how crazy it is. But the adaptation came out in 2013 by, I don't know how to say the studio's name. It's like Zexus,
I always call it
Zexes.
sexist.
Yeah, and this one is on Crunchyroll, and I read the manga a long time ago, and it was a very crazy, wild ride. And everybody told me, "Don't watch the anime. The anime is absolutely terrible." So I never watched it, and they were like, "Oh, the animation's awful." And so I recently just like, you know what? I'm just gonna watch it, and it's not that bad. It's the entire thing is rotoscoped, so the characters look more like real people than they do anime characters. And I didn't think it was that bad. Like, I thought the rotoscoping was actually pretty solid. They had some really great backgrounds. There was some really cool animated scenes in there. And they also took out some of the more disturbing parts of the manga, which I greatly appreciated. Like, it made it easier to watch than reading the manga, because there are some parts I was like, this is rough. But yeah, it was a wild ride. I recommend it if you like the manga. And that one, Flowers of Evil, of course, though, like all of his other works, there's a lot of like it revolves around the like humiliation, and it can be a wild thing to experience.
Yeah, I think I talked about it a while ago where it was hard to watch, but I somehow couldn't look away, and I loved most, if not all of it, and I really enjoyed it as much as I didn't enjoy it in the moment.
Yeah, the mangaka Shuzo Oshimi, who I just did a manga minute on one of his works.
Blood
last
on the
week?
Tracks?
Yeah,
I think
Blood
that
on the
was
Tracks.
last week.
It was either last week or the week before. It may have been the week before, because I think last week was I don't remember what it was now. But I think it was 2 weeks ago. And yeah, all of his works are like around they're not horror, but they do feel so unsettling. They make you feel embarrassed for the characters.
Yeah.
And there are moments where you're like, I don't understand how we got from this point to this point. It like, this does not feel natural. These people are not acting like real people. But then you can definitely see how sometimes things don't work that cleanly in real life, and weird things happen.
It's so good. It's so messy.
And it feels like watching a train accident.
It does.
You're like
a slow motion
like,
train accident where you're like, no, get off the tracks.
You're like, this is awful, but I just cannot look away.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Do we want to run through some of the listener comments since Enzo isn't here?
Sure, quickly, I think.
Okay. We'll disregard names, and in the effort of time, on Facebook and Twitter, Caroline was like, hey, we're about to do an episode like this. Listeners, what have you been watching? And some of the responses have been Nisekoi, which is a great show, Beastars, which is awesome, Haikyuu, and even though the guy hates sports anime, he's saying it's really good. Well, he's right. Lewis watched all of Rakugo Shinju. Yes, good on you. K-On, someone's watching that, and it is very good, and it gets better as it goes on, so stick with it. Someone just finished Kaguya-sama Love is War.
Oh my.
Yeah, great timing, because season 2 is about to come out.
Mm-hmm.
People are going old school, watching some Urusei Yatsura, Cat's Eye, and Star Musketeer Bismarck, which I've never heard of those last two. Natsume Yujincho and XXX Holic are on someone's list. That's a good list.
Oh, who's watching Natsume?
David Hernandez.
Ooh, good.
Peter's
approve.
watching One Piece once again. What an absolute crazy man. Watching it, I'm guessing from the beginning. Psychopath Season 3, Interspecies Reviewer. Oh boy, someone just finished Toilet Bound Hanako-kun, which I'm excited to watch. Man, some people are going back. Gatekeepers, Nia A7, Demon Bane, and Strange Dawn. Those are all ones I should probably look into. A lot of people are watching Fruits Basket, Original Berserk, Smile Down the Runway, The Wallflower. Everyone's watching everything, and it's just interesting.
That's because they're good.
One last thing I want to touch on.
They're being good anime addicts, Mason.
They are. And what are we going to be watching individually that, if people wanted to hear what we're going to think about for the next time we do one of these? Like, for example, the shows I've been planning to watch are Tari Tari, Library Wars, Ichigo Marshmallow, Sabe Gebu, and Hyoge Mono, which are all very different shows, mostly cute ones, but so those are all on my list. So if you want to join me and watch those, let me know. And also just let me know what other shows you think I should watch. Mandi, what do you have lined up?
Well, a lot of the ones that I want to watch are really long, so I'm trying to get rid of some of the ones on my list that are like 12, 24 episodes shorter. Because then once I can get those out, I can just binge something really long. Because I really want to get back into Gintama. Because I was enjoying, like where I left off, I was really enjoying it. So, but I had binged through like 200 plus episodes, and I was like, I need to watch something else for a while.
Yeah, you need to palate cleanse.
I'm going to get burned out on it. So I have like another over 100 episodes to go. So I still have that. Hyoge Mono, you just mentioned, that one has also been on my list and for a while. So I'm going to binge through that. And the spelling for that is HYOUGEMONO for anyone else who wants to watch it and then report back. It's Hyoge Mono. It's
a very strange show. I think it translates to like jocular fellow. It's like all about Sengoku area, like tea ceremony.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I also want to watch Sketchbook Full Colors. That one looks like it's about a group of girls who are like in an art club together. And then I also want to watch Bamboo Blade, which is like a group of girls in a kendo club together. That looks like it's more comedy than sport, but I don't know. I'm excited for that one. I've heard that one came recommended to me, so I'm gonna check it out. People have been wanting Mitz to watch Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. They keep asking.
Is it, yeah, in the Twitch chat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mitz is trying his best, we're getting through what we can get through. So
very nice. Well, viewer, what should you be watching? Well, besides the seasonal stuff, which you can watch with the Discord, and all the stuff that we're going to be watching for Anime Club, you should probably watch Cautious Hero, because we're going to review that next week.
Oh, yeah.
You should watch Mononoke, so you can listen to Mandi and my podcast about it. And like I said, I think we're going to do maybe like a wrap-up of like the seasonal shows that we aren't reviewing in a couple of weeks. So finish those up, because those are now ending, so get excited for that. Anything else you guys want to touch on before we go to our next news break?
Not particularly.
There we go. So with that, we leave you with one more trivia question, and that is, what is the name of the city over which Gilgamesh rules in Fate Grand Order Babylonia? We'll let you know. A couple minutes. Stay tuned.
We're gonna expect 50 more push-ups out of you, Mason.
And the listener, 50 push-ups. Let's go.
Let's do it. You gotta find some way to survive without the gym. Hey anime fans, Mitsuki's back, bringing you your second anime news break, leading us off with yet another, but I promise the last new anime season announcement for this particular news break. Netflix has announced recently that Adi Shankar's Castlevania animated series is going to be getting a 4th season. maybe not technically anime, but still feels like anime and is pretty damn good. So if you're a fan of Castlevania, which the 3rd season came out on March 5th, and you probably have watched that already now, look forward to more of Trevor Belmont, Dracula, and Alucard, and all the rest of the Wild crew coming out sometime soon when the 4th season does premiere. Next up, One Piece is getting its first ever orchestral concert in June in the Tokyo Suntory Hall on June 20th. I'm sure a lot of you would probably like to go see this, and unfortunately, I mean, with COVID-19, I don't know if you'll be able to travel to Japan or go to the concert, or if they'll even have it, to be honest. The concert commemorates the 40th anniversary of anime composer Kohei Tanaka's musical career, so we're going to hope for the best that they're going to have this concert, and they're going to be performed by the Tokyo Philharmonic Orchestra, which should be lovely, including iconic theme songs such as We Are, We Go, and Over the Top are going to be performed amongst others. And it looks like you can get this via the Lopi at the Lawson Station and lots of other ticket vendor sites throughout Japan. General admission is going to start at $80 for good seats, I guess. They call them the S seats are $80, and then they go down from that to $61. So if you're a fan of One Piece and you have the opportunity, check out that One Piece concert coming out in June. Sticking with Tokyo and COVID here for just a second, Japan has, for the most part, seems to have a handle on the COVID infection, as they've only been having about 40 new infections per day over the last week or so, which has been described by the Japan Times as a mostly contained plateau. However, they are requesting that people stay home and refrain from travel within Tokyo, and a stay-at-home request has been issued for Tokyo, Kanagawa, Saitama, and Chiba, and other parts of Japan as well. Kenneth McElwain, a professor at the University of Tokyo Institute of Social Sciences who specializes in public opinion, says that this weekend is a crucial test. If the number of reported cases in Tokyo continues to go up, then we may see greater demand for national government as they may step in. And Japan has remained, as the article says, relatively unscathed by the epidemic, only having 1,300 confirmed cases in a country that has over 100 million people, which is a fairly small number. And if you look online, you can see very eerie photos and videos throughout Tokyo of sections of Shibuya, street crossing, etc., where normally millions of people are walking. That is just ghost town-like. So if you're interested in seeing those types of eerie photos, you can check those out on the Japan Times. And lastly, Sazae-san is the first anime to ever win the Hashida Prize. The Mainichi Shimbun reported this. It looks like the anime won the 28th Hashida Prize for serving as a, quote, national program of Japan, and that's certainly an accurate statement, I would say. The Hashida Cultural Foundation, founded by playwright and scriptwriter Sugaku Hashida, established the Hashida Prize in 1993 to honor programs and people that have greatly contributed to broadcast culture in Japan. And I would say that Sazae-san certainly qualifies to win that prize. This is Mitsuki, and this was your anime news break. And of course, as we always do, it's time to get back to the podcast. Anime Addicts, the AAA podcast, is always trying to bring you new and exciting ways to enjoy our content, and now we have an exclusive member-only RSS feed on the site that is going to let you access our hentai episodes, our Hobby Addicts, and our After Parties episodes, all from your favorite mobile apps. That's an additional 8 episodes of content per month just for you, and you can listen to it through Apple Podcasts app, you can listen to it through Podcast Addicts, Pocket Cast, Overcast FM, Downcast FM, etc., onward and onward. So many mobile apps for you to choose from. If you were holding back on supporting the podcast because you didn't like listening to our extra content through our website, now you can get it and listen to it the same way you enjoy all your other podcasts. So pitch in, help out the podcast, do a good thing, and enjoy all the extra content we have for you. Just go to aaapodcast.com/join, support the podcast, Merry Christmas, and you will get all this extra content and an exclusive member RSS feed for you to enjoy. That's aaapodcast.com/join and support the podcast.
この番組は JList.com の提供でお送りします。
Alrighty, welcome back. So before we went on break, we had a question for you, and the question was, what is the name of the city over which Gilgamesh rules from the Fate franchise? I kept trying to combine Fate and Freight. And the answer was Uruk. U-R-U-K. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
Uruk. Uruk.
This is as Enzo would say, this is a bop.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to get to that for sure in a second in Fate Grand Order. But first, as we always do,
It's time for iTunes review.
yay.
This iTunes review comes to us from the Mildly Upset Hunter, and you can leave your iTunes review by such going to iTunes and doing so. They write, I've been listening since late 2017, and I love the hosts. No matter what's going on in your life, their energy is so upbeat and happy, you just can't help but smile when you listen. Can't wait for another year of amazing podcasts. P.S. I'm going to sign up for the extra content after writing this review. Wow. Thank you very much. I genuinely appreciate it, both for the extra content and the review. The Mildly Upset Hunter. I associate strongly with that username. So please go to iTunes, give us a 5-star review. We will read it no matter how ridiculous it is for the most part, and look forward to it. So thank you again.
The Mildly Upset Hunter. Is that are you a Hunter character? Or like a literal hunter?
Or a Bloodborne hunter? Yeah, or Bloodborne.
That's what I was thinking.
All right.
Mildly upset. Who's a mildly upset hunter?
They died. They dropped their souls, but it's pretty close to the bonfire, and they'll get it no problem.
All right. So Fate Grand Order. I passed this anime back in episode 495. You can watch it on Verve, which is where I watched it. And it's a fall 2019 show from the very popular Everlasting Fate franchise, of course, and done by Studio Cloverworks, which has done a lot of good stuff lately. I think most notably they did they worked a little bit on Darling in the Franxx. They were involved in the Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl. They've been around. Promised Neverland. I feel like they're like an up and comer. They've been doing a lot of good work. So it's been a while since I watched the first two episodes, I guess, because there is an episode 0, as always. There seems to be in Fate for some unknown reason, and so I actually did go back and read like the plot summary because of the beginning. Because I feel like most of the plot is in the beginning. So. There's a Mage King, Solomon, who appears a few times in this series, and he basically, it's seen, Chaldea, a secret mage organization, can see, I guess they see like 1 year ahead, and they see that like this King Solomon is gonna basically like rain an ungodly firestorm down upon humanity, and so in order to fix this, they send Fujimaru back in time to repair the singularities in history, which I'm going to be honest, I have no idea what the hell that means. And so, which causes, as this says, holy grails to disperse across time and space, which I don't really feel like is all that well communicated in this anime. And apparently, before this season starts, he has fixed 6 of them, I guess. And then there's the 7th one, which is way back in Mesopotamia with Gilgamesh, of course, because everyone loves Gilgamesh. And this is like the 7th and final singularity, I guess, which will result in saving humanity. And so they go back in time to like 3000 BC. I guess here it says 2655 BC, but who's counting? And to the Age of Heroes, where they run into lots of gods and go on little quests and have a shitload of fights. And yeah, so that's pretty much the plot summary, And they're just trying to get every Fate anime I've ever seen, and I've seen every single one of them is about getting the Holy Grail. So that's pretty much what it is. So, what were your guys' expectations going into this? I know you knew it was a Fate anime, but how about beyond that?
So I've seen both seasons of Fate Zero.
Yep.
I have not read any of the visual novels, played any of the mobile games, and I always knew that the Fate series wasn't really for me. Like, I watched Fate Zero, it was fine. I got the concept, but kind of the fandom and everything around the series just never was quite to my taste. So when the fall season started, as always on the Discord, we have a ton of people that watch like the first episodes of a ton of shows. And Babylonia came up, and I figured, I was with people who have played the game. They can help explain all the lore and the references from the Aniplex like role-playing game with it. So we watched episode 1, and they were able to like help explain the initial premise of what was going on. And it did help me understand what was going on, but it didn't make me care. So after we watched episode 1, I proceeded to drop it. And then when we passed it, I was like, well, I guess we're doing it. So that's kind of what I went into the mindset of the show with.
So I'll be honest, I have no history whatsoever with the Fate franchise at all.
Fate.
Like, this is my
Mandi.
first time. I said Fate. I corrected myself.
You
the
did.
Fate franchise. And I have no history with it whatsoever. And I've always been told that it's okay to just jump into this one because you don't need the history of it. After watching this, I disagree. There are some things that I don't understand. I know that's my fault because I don't have the history with it. But I went into it kind of scared because I know it's a very beloved franchise, but I don't know anything about it. And I know it as like it's a very intimidating series. There are so many adaptations, so many games, like there's so much behind it. I was like, jumping into one that just came out was really scary. But yeah, I went into it scared.
I watched the first 3 episodes when we were gonna pass and fail it, like months ago, and I think that the anime pretty much lays its cards down in the first 3 episodes. You get enough of what this anime is, which is, just wildly unbelievable fight scenes and historical figures that just pop up, and some of them make sense from where they are and some of them don't, which is kind of like how Fate is, because, in Fate Zero, they're summoning, like, I don't even remember, just people from history that are from all different eras, King Arthur, and then you got, like, people from the other side of the planet from 1,000 years before, so, and, I expected good animation, good fight scenes, lots of historical figures. And I think when I first initially stopped, it was right before they were getting ready to fight Gilgamesh in like his like throne room area, and that's episode 3, I guess, is when that first happens. So I mean, that was pretty much my expectation because I've seen Fate Zero, I've seen Fate Zero 2, I've seen Unlimited Blade Works, I've seen most of this, and I don't have the backstory, but of what comes before Fate Grand Order, and I don't necessarily feel bad for not knowing, because it's like, I mean, I'm just not the kind of person that's gonna go watch like just countless episodes of stuff to have the backstory to watch an anime that I'm not even certain that I'll enjoy. That just seems like doubling down before you even get in there. But I expected it to be pretty good. It had good reviews online, and Fate is very popular, which is why you keep seeing more and more of it, and the cell phone games are booming, and yeah, so I think I pretty much said it all right there of my expectations beforehand. Now the question is, would we recommend it in a spoiler-free way? And Mason, I'll let you go first because you went first last time. Would you recommend Fate Grand Order?
Well, here's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say I enjoyed it. It's 13 half-length episodes of really relaxing cooking vibes. No pretentious posturing, no desperate historical references, no cringeworthy fan service, no edgy deaths. I learned so many little cooking tricks about Japanese cuisine, I recommend watching the Fate spin-off, Today's Menu for the Emiya Family. That was super relaxing and enjoyable, and I watched it alongside Babylonia to prove to myself that Fate has some good stuff. In the meantime, for Babylonia,
Is that a thing?
It does what? The show I mentioned?
Yeah.
Yeah, Today's Menu for the Emiya Family. It's like a short series. It's just Fate characters cooking, and it's super comfortable, and I love it. Babylonia has food porn in one episode, but besides that, if you are not already deep into the Fate series and the Nasuverse, or you haven't played the game, or aren't committed to wasting 21 episodes of time you could spend doing anything else, I wouldn't recommend this show, obviously. Maybe I'm just too dumb for it, but this is just like, I don't know, like a high school edgelord who thinks that having historical figures automatically makes their show intellectual compared to like the cheap wankery that this 21 episode commercial is. Don't watch this show unless you played the mobile game, because all the good reviews online are from people who have played the mobile game, have all that backstory that this show is just missing. They just don't have time to have all that. So as a standalone piece of media, this show is insufficient, and don't watch it.
So yeah, when I was watching this, I had a very strong feeling that it reminded me a lot of Tokonambu, which is a gacha game. And I enjoy the Tokonambu series, both Hanamaru and the one that UFO Table brought out, because I had experience with the gacha games, and that's the purpose of these shows, is to bring those characters to life and to put more personality into them other than just stats. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it for people who are fans of the gacha game, because I thought the characters are pretty charming. There is some really good action scenes. The characters are cute. They're cute characters, and I think it's best when it's being very silly. Like, there are some comedy moments that got a laugh out of me, and some over the top action scenes. I was like, that was really cool, and I see why people love these characters so much. The story is not, there's not really much. It's very basic. It's a very basic story, because it became very obvious to me as I'm going through it that it's functioning as a gacha game. We're going on missions, mission, like you would in a gacha game. And so yeah, I wouldn't recommend it if you are going into it without any knowledge of the Fate franchise and you are not interested in the gacha game aspect of it. If you already have these characters, you know them from your game, and you would like to see them like animated and have a little bit more than just here's my stats and here's what I do in the game, I definitely recommend it.
So it's funny you guys say, I was like, Mason said 21 episodes. So I checked my anime list, and sure enough, 21 episodes.
Yeah.
Verve does not have 21 episodes on it, so I did not watch.
Everyone is behind except for Funimation.
Okay, all right. Well, I didn't finish it.
If it makes you feel better, did you get up to episode 20?
No, I didn't. I got up to the end of episode 18, which is what's on Verve. So my bad. I thought that was the end of the season. So
hey, at least you got the Quetzal Comet. So
yeah, I got that. I got that part. Fate Grand Order is. This is a show that's going to be great for people who love action. I think the show is pretty shallow. I think that, like, if you're looking for some big story or deep meaning, it's not there. It doesn't exist. As Mandi said, this is a show where they go on a quest and they get a tablet and they bring it back and they get patted on the head, and then they go get another thing and then they come back and they get patted on the head, and there's a freaking badass fight scene every time that feels like the show, like, I feel like the show blew its load on an episode like 7. And then sure enough, like boom, 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 there's like 5 more great fight scenes. So if you're a person, and that's not unique to the Fate franchise, because like the big fight in episode 7, which I'm not going to say what it is until we get to the spoiler section, is very reminiscent of the giant caster battle from I think it might be Fate Zero, the second season, where they're in like the Tokyo Bay or whatever. And it's just like mammoth-sized badass monster, and there's like these little ant-sized heroes trying to take it on. Like, if you're down for that, like Attack on Titan level size beasts, just like going hog wild on the planet, like yeah, you're gonna like it. But if you're a person that needs to have a story and you want to have a full grasp of everything that's happening, well, I mean, it's not really that, I would say. And to Mandy's point, like characters like well, we'll talk about it in a minute, but like the blonde character gets like no backstory. So unless you're like, more familiar with the character, you're like, oh, she's this, who, by the way, I found her to be extremely annoying, but she just like laughs and, oh my God, blah, blah. Okay, great. Yeah, just please. But it's recommendable to fans of the people who want to have action shows. It's one of those like diehard anime where you're just like, you're there to eat popcorn and like watch shit explode. So if that's what you're into, I think there's definitely an audience there. So
Popcorn popper.
Yeah.
Definitely.
There's a shitload of people that will like this, and then there's a lot of people that won't like it. So if you sound like the person I described, then you're in. So let's go to the spoiler section so we can talk more about it.
Spoilers are coming. Oh my god!
All right.
Were you talking about Quetzalcoatl?
Yeah, Quetzalcoatl, yeah.
No,
she was
best
cool.
character.
She's not the best, but she was pretty cool.
Highly disagree. She's my favorite. I loved her.
Lucha Luchador just dropping the people's elbow from the top temple, just pulling around the team.
I mean, I guess it's like I guess I just don't like the characters that are like, da, oh my god.
Yes.
Well, we all have our thing, I guess.
She's super cute too.
I was the overbearing aunt who just was there to be a goober.
Wrestle.
I've seen worse characters, but yeah. She wasn't the most aggravating character in the anime, but yeah, she was arguably probably the best fighter. So where do we begin with this? I mean, it is basically a quest anime.
I mean, yeah, like Mandy kind of touched on, like you can definitely tell that this was made from a game. Like there's no coherent story. It's just you have your minor battle, then you have your boss battle, then you have your quest giving, then you have the side quest, and then you have like the character building bonding scenes with when he has the one-on-one moment with each character. And like I love how when like the beasts, like the demonic beasts, like breach the wall, they even talk about like wave 1's coming, wave 2's coming, wave 3. I'm like, this probably was like straight out of the game.
And I know I don't have a history with the Fate franchise, but I also noticed too that they kind of reference the characters' classes. Like I've always heard people say the archer, the lancer, like so on and so forth with them. And when you had known nothing about the Fate franchise, that was always so awkward to me. I'm like, I thought lancer was a name. No, it's a class. I was like, wait, what? And it was weird. Like everyone has this history with King Gilgis, and they're like,
Abs.
It's weird to me that he changes in the show, but everyone's like, oh, it's the original Gilgamesh. I'm like, I don't know what this means.
Yeah, it's like Caster, and then he turns into the archer at the end. You're like, why do I care? Is this the same? Well, no, he looks different, but why would he be different? Stuff like that.
I get it, though. It's based on a game, and I just haven't played it, so I get it, though.
Yeah, but, so... I mean, the story is very like shallow, so there's not much to talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, really, they get to Gilgamesh. He's at least for me the coolest character. He doesn't do a lot, but he's cool as hell.
He is.
I mean,
Mandy had problems watching this. Mandy had problems watching this show. She was like, Gilgis, new favorite character in anime. I'll watch 60 more episodes of this.
I mean, I couldn't even read the subtitles because I was so busy staring at his abs. I was like, God.
Right?
I was like,
damn. What is it? Was it a tattoo down like his happy trail? Was it a tattoo? What was that? I don't know, but it got my attention.
So yeah, he sends. Let's see here. He sends them on a quest to get a tablet that contains a memory he had. Like, okay, well, it's like, well, you whatever. So they go and they get the tablet, and then they go and they get a giant axe, the axe of Marduk, and they go and they get it. I mean, to me, the best part of the show was the Gorgon fight in episode 7 or 8 or whatever, whenever that happened. It was very reminiscent of the caster fight from, I think it was a caster, the guy who just wanted to devour humanity in Fate Zero when they summoned the giant monster in Tokyo Bay, and they're like flying around him trying to take him out, and there's like jets getting swatted down and shit. Like that reminded me of of that fight big time because it's like they're like these little ants running on this giant monster's legs and shit. It was a lot like something you'd see out of God of War 3, where you're like running up the, if you played that game where Kratos is running up the Atlas or whatever. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Or something out of like Shadow of the Colossus, level. And Cloverworks did a great job with it. Like, it looks really good. I mean, it's not the best animated thing I've ever seen, but like I thought it looked really good, and the action scenes were definitely, they get a little choppy here and there, but they were overall, like, I thought it was a stunning action anime.
There are some CG moments that I was like, this is a bit iffy. Like, it's a bit too obvious that it's CG. Like, and I don't have a problem with CG, but when it doesn't blend in well with everything else, it becomes so obvious. I'm like, that's a little weird.
You mean like
I was going to say, there's no UFO table, obviously.
Yeah.
But I thought actually all the fights before, including the one you're talking about in episode 11 or 7, sorry, I can't talk, were bad. I did not like the fights in the first half of the series. Even episode 7, where Mandi talked about like the Gorgon being very obviously in the CG way that looked very off-putting. I thought the first half of the show looked miles worse than the second half. I think the second half looked so much better, specifically the choreography. Like, not so much how things looked on like a Sakuga style, but the way that the fights were framed and moved, I thought got way better. And I guess it was a lot of style over substance in the first half. Like, for example, the when the Gorgons invading in episode 7, all like of the spear guys under, who's the guy from 300, starts with an L,
Leonidas,
and he's like, oh, throw their spears, and they have like all the spears like coming at the Gorgon, but if you look, like 90% of them missed. So like it looked really impressive, all these spears being thrown, but like it didn't make sense logically. Whereas later episodes, where it was more one-on-one fights, looked so much better. And I thought it was a weird choice that when they fight this huge like skeleton later on, why didn't they make the skeleton CG? The skeleton had all this like cool animation on bones. Bones don't move. But they made that animation, but they made the Gorgon this really stiff CG character that looked odd. So I thought the second half of the show looked way better.
Really?
Like I said, the Quetzal Comet in 18 was the best thing ever.
I mean, I thought the little by the way, the monsters at the end were, holy shit, they were obnoxious.
Stupid looking.
I like the monsters at the end.
I mean,
I'm with you, man.
Did you mute your TV? Because their voices made me want to rip my ears out.
We're talking about how they look.
I feel you.
Well, they looked awful.
I thought they looked dumb as shit.
I thought the CG, I thought their CG, the CG that really looked like shit was I guess I don't even know if it was the final boss.
Agreed. Yeah.
She looked like some kind of like fucking reboot shit. I mean, it was horrendous at the end.
But that wasn't the fight. She wasn't like that in the fights all the time.
But she was.
I agree with you. I was like, I thought the first half looked better than the second half.
When she was standing there screaming, her like horrible scream with her. Yeah, exactly. She just looked.
Yawn.
She just didn't look good. I don't know. But I mean, I was
just referring to the fights, to be clear.
Yeah, the Quetzal Comet is cool. I mean, I thought all the fights were good.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't dislike any of the fights. So, yeah. But I mean, mostly I'm just talking about the CG, because overall I thought this anime was like, if you put this up against like a random sampling of 100 other anime, it looks better than most probably. But like the CG, Cloverworks needs to work on their CG, I guess. So
yeah.
I just want to point out the absolute worst looking moment of the entire show. Jumping ahead, there's a moment where like Ushiwaka like comes back, and she's like the character who like when she comes back she's like dark, and she has like the red eyes, and she can make duplicates of herself.
Yeah.
There's a scene where she walks across the screen, and like almost like if you took a photograph at each moment, like that after image becomes like a duplicate of her, and it was literally a Control-C, Control-V, copy paste on each one of the frames, and it was the most abysmal thing I've ever seen in my life. It was really wonky. It was very poorly done. I'll see if I can find like a clip from it, but it was cringe-inducing.
I didn't think that was that bad.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, overall, I thought this anime looked really good.
you brought up the Lamu, the CG Lamu, which I thought the CG wasn't terrible because it made them look kind of like inhuman or abhorrent. But I think to go off of that, of their sound was annoying, true. But overall, I would say the sound effects of this show were probably my favorite part. Like a lot of the like big moments, especially Mash's like shield, that clang, I thought it had a lot of like depth to it, and I really enjoyed most of the sound effects. Not all, but most of them were really well done.
I recall a sound effect with the Gorgon fight when she's outside the wall and she's like lasering the wall, and it's like, and I was like watching it on my, you know what I'm talking about? I was watching it on my phone, and I was like, I was like, shit. If I was watching this thing like in a home theater, like I feel like the whole fucking room would be shaking.
Like, I was watching it really late at night, and I'm in an apartment, so I try to keep things down when it's like past 1 o'clock in the morning.
Whoopsie.
And I was watching it, and I like had it really down low. I'm pointing at my TV as I'm doing this. I'm not going crazy, I promise. My TV's right over there. But I was watching it on like the volume was only like level 5. It was really low.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, those sounds came in. I was like, holy shit! I gotta mute my TV for a second because it's like, boom. I was like, holy shit!
I mean, I thought they sounded awesome. Like,
yeah,
no,
everything
it does.
sounded so big and large.
It was just loud.
It was the best part. The only moment that didn't sound good but was funny is in episode 20. Like Ishtar gets like tossed aside like nonchalantly by like an enemy. And when she lands like a couple feet away, it makes this like huge explosion sound with no like visual effects. So I was not expecting it. But yeah, it sounded larger than life, and it helped sell like what was going on. So the sound effects, my favorite part of the show by a mile.
Yeah, you know, I kind of wonder why the Gorgon, and they called him King, but I guess he's really Enkidu, I guess. But like, why they don't... I'm trying to remember, but like they had their ass in that episode, like episode 8. Like it was over. Like just fucking demolish the city. It's over. It was over. Like half the heroes had done the Chaozu detonation and had not beaten the Gorgon. So it was like all you needed to do was pretty much just stomp through the wall and just kill everybody. But then they backed off, and if I recall, it was because King was like, "We must make them suffer, or this is not the moment."
I thought there was a reason.
like, what?
I thought the reason was okay, actually.
Well, but it's strategically...
Can you remember the reason?
It's strategically stupid. Like, you won the fight. It was over. Like, Ushiwaka, whatever, was dead. Leonidas was dead. And let's face it, Mash and the other girl can't do shit. And Merlin doesn't do much of anything ever anyway. So it's like, it was over.
Being a troll.
It was over.
I thought that reason was fine. I thought the weirdest thing was episode 8 kind of started the trend of Enkidu, actually, psych, it's not Enkidu, it's Kingu. Tiamat, actually, psych, it's not Tiamat, it's Gorgon. Benki, just kidding, it's not Benki, it's someone else. Like, they started establishing these characters and then pulling the rug out from under us and saying, like, psych, it's someone else. But I didn't care who they were at the beginning, and I didn't care now. And probably just because I just didn't have the history, I didn't know the game, that I was just like, why do I care that these characters aren't who the show told me they were?
This was one thing that I really struggled with. It's because I don't know the characters to begin with, and I'm not really well versed in this, like the mythology behind this era. And I struggled a lot because I also don't know the mechanics of this world, because there are people being summoned into other people. Like Ishtar was like summoned inside of a girl who was, I guess she was being sacrificed in order to, like, they merged together.
Bring the vessel. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that later.
I was confused with Enkidu and Kingu, and like I know they have a history, and I know one of them has a history with Gilgamesh, and I know this is part of like the story,
like the Mesopotamian god, the lore of it.
But I really struggled with, because then there were characters that came back, like Gorgon came back, and I was confused about that. I don't understand how that happened.
Well, that was at the end. That was Anna.
That was Anna that came back.
So Anna was a young of the 3 sisters. She was the earliest of the Gorgons. So she killed the main Gorgon with her Gorgon abilities, because she was able to cancel it out, and then came back through the rift as the older Gorgon. And that's why...
But looks exactly the same as the one.
Yes, because she's the like previous version. And that's why she was like, oh, like don't like she was making it seem like she was the Gorgon. Like she didn't want to have the main character see her as Gorgon, which is why like Mash and like Rinkadu, or the main character, were like pretending like they didn't know it was her, because she was ashamed that she had become the monster that they had just spent all this time fighting. It was
okay.
It doesn't
I was
explain
really confused.
why, but that's who it was.
Mandi, you really didn't need to have a lot of backstory from the history. Like basically, there's the Epic of Gilgamesh has no Tiamat in it. There's like the actual historical accuracies. This would take place, and if you already know this, just stop me because I don't want to waste time on something you may already know. But like this anime takes place directly after the Epic of Gilgamesh, and basically in the Epic of Gilgamesh, they summon Enkidu to kill Gilgamesh because he's like raping and pillaging his own people because he's an asshole. And then they become friends, and then Enkidu dies, and then Gilgamesh goes to hell to try to get him back, and he realizes that he can't. And so when this starts, they're already like best friends of like, epically best bros, but Enkidu has already been killed. And then this kind of starts right after that is kind of how I see it. But there's no Tiamat. None of these fucking things are in the Epic of Gilgamesh except Enkidu.
Tiamat was.
Isn't
she like a goddess of the sea or something?
There's a Humbaba, which is like a giant I've read I've read it twice, and I don't think Tiamat's in there.
I feel like there is a lot of historical figures and lore that are in this show that wouldn't help explain exactly what's going on, but I think had I known all those references and like the knowledge of the time period more, I would have at least appreciated all the little nods and stuff which are there.
It's actually like fairly historically accurate. Like they didn't fuck anything up, which is kind of nice. Can we just pivot for a minute and talk about like how this anime
Jaguar Man? Yes. Why Jaguar Man is the greatest character? Sorry, go ahead.
I thought it's supremely annoying. And actually to my point, this anime like takes itself very seriously, I feel like, and all the Fate shows do, complete with their I've said it before, a very pretentious like episode 0 that they always have to have in every Fate show. But like this anime will take the most serious moment ever, like, oh, humanity's gonna end, and then they just fuck it up with a bunch of like silly, goofy shit, like, Eska, whatever, the skeleton lady, and Ishtar have to have like a tiff about who's prettier, and then like at the end, humanity's about to end, and they're like laughing about how Ishtar is like the worst goddess, and she stands there with like a goddess. I'm the worst goddess tablet. I
thought that was kind of funny.
But it's like, I mean, there's a time and a place, I feel like, and it's not when humanity's ending. Like let's, I mean, you're either goofy and silly, or you're a serious anime, and it's really tough.
I think
for
I would
me
have. Oh no, sorry. I was just gonna say I think I would have preferred it if it had remained silly. The serious moments,
maybe, yeah.
I don't think it worked well.
And they do that a lot. Like there's a lot of that in this show. So
yeah,
I just it doesn't help me take the moment seriously when the show doesn't take its own serious moments seriously. So, and where did the tiger girl even come from? Because I definitely nodded off during that. Because I woke up and she was just there, and I was like, oh, well, I must have missed 10 minutes.
Jaguar Man, I feel like we can just go through characters, because I feel like that's the one thing that we can someone make comments on besides the ass pulls that was the plot, which most of my notes consist of, but we can ignore that. So I guess if we start with Jaguar Man, she was like a sub unit, a sub commander of the Quetzalcoatl like thing, where she like went to and would like steal the men for this other town and like use that for like their own like respect of the god there. It was kind of an odd character, but she was goofy, and I like how Anna was just upset that she stole the hooded look of that person.
I mean,
that's all there was to it.
Do you really want to go through every character? Because there's a fucking ton of them.
Just the highlights. I mean, Gilgamesh, for example, I was mixed on him, because compared to quote unquote Archer Gilgamesh from the earlier series, he lost a lot of his like bite and his swagger. But it kind of makes sense that he matured to be the king with duties. He just was a less interesting Gilgamesh than we've seen before. That was my opinion of him. Ishtar was the most like blatant like realization that the show is just to have the waifus that people know and love in the game again, because Ishtar is just Rin. It's literally just Rin. It's the same character from all their earlier shows. She looks exactly the same. Right. But they just wanted to have her look the same so they can claim, oh, this is Singularity, and we match it with the best vessel from the summoned god. So this is, they literally broke down mathematically how much of a waifu this was. It's like 70% goddess, 30% Rin. So you know exactly how much you're allowed to like this character. And she is bought off by gems just like you would in a mobile game. Like, she was like the most pandering character, and all the girls in the show just had the worst timed like fan service to go with it. Just obnoxious shots in battle, outside the battle. It was just a slog. And I liked Da Vinci. She was cool. Katsuko grew on me, but those were like the highlights of the characters that I thought meant anything.
I've definitely outgrown the harem thing in my life, and this anime is a harem. So it becomes obvious when obvious villain characters just arbitrarily decide that they're gonna like more or less fall in love with and side with Fujimaru and just join him for seemingly no reason at all. Especially Quetzalcoatl. She's the most blatant example of that. She's like, oh, I'm in the Three Goddess Alliance. I'm going to just help destroy the world or whatever. And then, like, boom, she's, like, on his side. It's like, wow, that was easy because you love humans. I'm like, okay, well, if you love humans, why are you...
After she kills 100 of them?
Yeah, it's like, if you love humans, why are you doing...
Also, she was definitely going to attack another human before, like, MASH... like smashed her out of the way for defenses, and they're like, oh well, she killed 100 humans. She was definitely going to kill 101. She might have just lost count and got lucky, but it was just contrived.
Anyway, I'm gonna be honest, I don't have a whole lot more to add to it. Like,
I love Merlin a lot.
That doesn't surprise me.
That boy is a troll, and I love him. And I love the part where Quetzalcoatl is going to throw the axe to him, and he scares everybody going, Quetzalcoatl, like, come to me. He's like, oh, just kidding.
He's the reason Quetzalcoatl didn't kill the beast with her comet, because he nerfed her. He, like, sabotaged her character so she'd get struck by lightning, so she lost, like, half of her god powers. Just because he's a dick. I will say
I love him.
I will say the banter he had with Dr. Romani or whatever, the guy who's like back in the computer room. Their banter at the end was very funny and clever, and I really liked that moment.
I still love the moment where he's like, I'm going to take care of this Gorgon. The Gorgon's like, I can petrify you with my eyes. Just kidding. Let me get behind everybody else. I was like, oh man, this character is perfect for me.
I agree, Mets. We can probably just move on.
In the interest of time, this anime is fine. It's not great. There's almost no story. So I definitely think that if you want to engage in the story, the story is elsewhere. Like, I'm not sure where it is because I'm not a Fate aficionado, but it's definitely in like visual novels or special spin-offs or something. That's where the story is. I think it's not here. This is just like this is the actions that happen to carry out the story that you learn about someplace else, I think. And it could be that unless you play the games, which I don't, so I don't have that perspective, but it could be that unless you play the games, you really won't get much out of it, other than like just intense. To me, they were really much better than average looking for action scenes. So, but it is pretty shallow. Like it's a show you can almost, it's sad to say, like you can almost watch it just paying half attention because there's large periods of time when not much of consequence occurs. The openings and the endings, we didn't mention them, but I thought they were the second ending, I guess, or Proven. I thought they were not good, especially after Beastars last week, which had like an awesome opening. This anime's opening, the music here didn't do much for me. I'm gonna give it, the action is so good, but like there's just no story. I'm gonna give it 3 Holy Grails again. 3 Holy Grails again out of 5, because every time we do a Fate show, I always do something Holy Grail out of 5 because It's always about the Holy Grail. God damn it. How many fucking
What
Holy
are the
Grail?
Holy Grails?
I don't
Someone
know,
who's
but there's a shitload of them. Everyone's got one. There's a fucking ton of them. They're everywhere.
Icy will be able to tell us.
7 of them, and essentially they're essential to, like, you know, accumulating them is essentially equal to accumulating power, and essentially it's what they get at the very end, and it's a MacGuffin of sorts.
I give it a 3 out of 5.
I can go next. I said at the start, I'll say it again. The show was designed for people who have played this game, and I imagine that people who have played the game enjoyed this adaptation. Like, this show took a plot that was normally just a bunch of talking heads, and they turned it into a full-length series. It captured all the highlights. It gave the characters a ton of spark. It was faithful to the experiences of the game, and it was probably as splendid of an adaptation as fans could have hoped for. I'm sure if people like Fate, they will love this series, and are probably proud to have this notch into their belt of things that they've experienced. It is another excuse to engage in their waifu gambling habit, because the show's a big commercial, but I have to imagine that people who like Fate really enjoyed this series. But as someone who was ignorant of all that, this show was just a train wreck, and not a good train wreck like Flowers of Evil. Like, this was just moments of plots from the game that were just barely strung together through, like, fragile connections. The characters by themselves were really shallow and didn't stand up. There was never really, like, a theme or message that materialized, and it really, like, shied away from, like, any depth besides, like, what a kiddie pool level would offer. And all the fan service in the world can't save a show if I'm not a fan. This was a grind to get through. This was a miserable experience for me. So I'm going to give it 1.5 quality goddesses out of 5. If it was not for, like, being trapped inside for weeks, I might not have been able to make it through this show. This was rough, and I did not enjoy it. Go watch today's menu for the Emiya family.
Spice, baby. Boom, 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 boom.
I'm with Mitz on this. It wasn't a hard watch when I was able to. I just had this week. It took me a while to get through it because I had so much stuff that I was working on that was outside of anime. And yeah, I thought, I don't know, it's very shallow, but had some fun characters, some really good action scenes. There are so many moments where I was like, just like, oh shit, like I just had fun watching it. So yeah, I also don't have a history with it, but maybe it's easier for me to watch because I do have a history with Tokunabu and other gacha game, and so I get the appeal of it. And yeah, I think I'd give it 2.5 Holy Grails out of 5.
What did the people give it? The people, let's see, 33% of people gave it a 5, 50% of people gave it a 4.
Damn.
About 20% roughly gave it a 2, which averages out to a 4 out of 5 for the listener.
Which is pretty much exactly what my anime list has, which is an 8 for this. People love people love action. What can I say?
It's okay, like, to just sometimes shut your brain off and watch some good action. Anime's for fun, right?
I'm just bummed
Anime
out.
is not fun.
I'm just bummed out that I didn't see the ending. I don't. Who kills the?
Weird.
Who kills the big bad at the end? Because I'm not gonna.
So what
watch
did you think when you finished it? You didn't think that wasn't the end?
I thought there was like, there's a second season coming out. That's literally what I thought. I was like, oh, okay, well, it just kind of stopped, but they're probably just gonna have another season. That's what I thought.
That's funny.
Damn it, Verve! What the fuck?
That's really funny.
Got that on. Well, maybe if you watch the last, I was going to say, if you were only one episode behind, the last episode really just kind of wrapped things up nicely, but it's kind of after the fight, so you might not have missed much.
I'm guessing Mash kills her. Or the homunculus girl that looks like Mash.
Are you going to watch the last 2 episodes?
Nope, I am not.
How are you going to give a show a 3 and not care enough to watch the last 3 episodes?
Because this show was a 3 from the first episode, and it was a 3 the whole time. It's not ever going to not be a 3.
Okay, well, our main character gets... Okay, so they're in the underworld, and the claim is that she has a power that can eliminate life. So the only people who can kill her are people with life, which makes no sense. But essentially, our main character waltzes right up to her, makes some stylish, what's that action game? Oh, let's just say Assassin's Creed jumps and kind of stabs her with a dagger, and that's how it ends.
That's anticlimactic. All right.
And then we get a Bone Daddy that comes in and kills people out of nowhere, and that's pretty much it. And that's the end of this episode.
Should let Quetzalcoatl do it.
If our Merlin hadn't nerfed her. But that was episode 517 of the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. It was a wild one. You can find Mandi at _Mandi on Twitter. You can find Mitsugi at Pope Mitsugi. You can find me nowhere except the Discord, because that's where all the cool kids are. Join us at aapodcast.com/join for all the bonus contents. We're about to review a plethora of wild hentai.
We were going to, but Enzo has abandoned us, so I'm gonna go cry a little. Pour one out.
And yeah, so see you guys. 5-star iTunes review, and we love you all. Have a good one.
Bye.
Have a good night, guys.
Bye.